All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics and Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics or Local. So y'all know that we have some real interesting things we need to be talking about. We have one last runoff that's taking place in our local election. So we're going to talk a little bit about who's going to be on tonight. So Jonathan's going to give you the rundown for who all is on the show tonight.
Oh, great. The show starts at 6 o'clock. As you know, we have the disciples. We should have the councilwoman, Reverend Louise Scott-Rountree, on in a moment. At 7 o'clock, we're going to have the candidate for the South Ward, Asia Norton, on our show. She's going to be on at 7 o'clock in the only runoff in Newark's election so far. And of course, you know, Asia Norton is often a frequent contributor to our show, and is also running at the same time. So we're going to be happy to have her on, and she's going to talk all about her candidacy, the run, what it's like running, and what she wants to do as councilwoman for the South Ward. At 7:30, we're going to have the Patterson Healing Collective on. They have on June 6th, they have a Healing Fest. The Healing Fest is cool. Patterson has been doing some incredible work when it comes to anti-violence, when it comes to violence reduction, and the work that they do. And so we're going to have women from the Patterson Healing Collective come on and talk about what Healing Fest is and all of the things that go around it. Patterson has uh, have had an impressive program for a number of years, and we look forward to having them on our show tonight. At 8 o'clock, we have Alan Martin on his moving documentary, The Forgotten Occupation. That's about the 1915 invasion and occupation of Haiti. So when we're looking at the wars that the United States is going through, and we look at all of the different fighting that we're doing in Iran and Venezuela, the threats against Cuba, this isn't new, and this has a long history. And so this documentary about the forgotten occupation talks about something no one talks about, and that's the 1915 invasion and occupation of Haiti. It is really important that we have some concept of history when we go forward. So that we're looking forward to having a conversation about that documentary as well. At 8:15, DJ Rhino and the State of Hip Hop with Hakim Green. Hakim is going to be on at 8:15, and we're going to be talking. We're going to have our cultural conversations that are long, long overdue. We've had elections for the last few weeks, and we've been only having election conversations. This time we have a runoff in Newark left, so we only have one race and candidate to talk to now. So we are back. So that is what's going on right now. And while we wait for the disciples to come on, we will continue to have some good conversation. So
Hey,
Zaid, man, what's going on?
hey, Zaid, peace, my brother.
Hey y'all.
Hey, before we get started, man, I just want to make sure that we give and pay homage to the homegoing of our brother Rob Bass, who just went home to be with the Lord.
Wow.
One of the hip hop legends. Definitely, we can talk a little bit about that with the hip hop brothers when they come on tonight. Get into a conversation with them about some of the music that brother made. But I heard that folks were talking to him last week, and he was saying that he wasn't feeling well, but no one thought that tragically he would be on this week.
Right. That is a tragedy, and so many more people are passing, and especially in our age range and our age bracket, right? Like people in their 40s and their 50s, and so Rob Bass, that's a shock. I know that we're going to have a more extensive conversation about that later on this evening. What's going on, Zaid?
Well, I'm gonna add to that in a different way. Uh, just before we did the observation of Malcolm's 101st birthday, and just on the heels of the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, we had an attack on a mosque in San Diego, and I'm lifting up the name Amin Abdullah, the brother who was on point, responsible for the securing of that mosque, and engaged the attackers. Ultimately, cost him his life and the life of two others, but he also saved a whole lot of lives by virtue of that armed engagement that he had to do.
Mm.
One of the things, and Ed, you bear witness to what I'm saying, big time, right? One of the first things that we comes to, those of us who come from an NOI background, right? You're gonna take care of your moms. We don't wait for anybody else to take care of our moms. We're gonna take care of our moms. And if you go and if you get you given the responsibility to take that frontal post, you better be ready. Nothing come, no nuisance, nothing is coming on through on your post, right? And that's something that's an old conversation
Mm.
that Muslims of African descent from our tradition have been trying to tell our brothers and sisters who are more immigrant in their background about what's real here in these United States.
And that's the knowledge, the understanding that yes, you can be attacked at any time, and especially in a place of worship.
The
The
deep-seated hate
Mhm.
from this racist state, not just towards people of African descent, but Islamophobia is not a new thing. It's got
Right.
some fresh legs, but this is an old ugly thing, right? And we let folks. We try to y'all come in here think you're gonna find the American dream. These monsters will come at you with the American nightmare in a heartbeat, and you need to be ready.
Right, absolutely. Especially when you're talking about the the way in which the all of the stuff that's been going on now, like the Islamophobia right now has taken on just new heights inside of the United States, where you have mainstream politicians saying the most outrageous things about Muslims with not only zero consequences, but a whole lot of reward. I think that when we look at what happened in Gaza, we look at what's going on in the war in Iran. I don't think any of that is fully possible. The extent to which the violence is allowed to go unchecked without just incredible degrees of Islamophobia.
Absolutely.
Their lives just don't matter. And I think that that becomes and should become a really part of the conversation. I know the Democrats talked about releasing their uh, their basically autopsy report for the 2024 election, and in it they don't really mention the what happened in Gaza
They didn't
as
want to
a
release the
major reason.
report.
Right, right. And when they
They didn't
did,
even want to release the report.
right, and which is crazy, right? They didn't want to release it, and when they release it, the thing that so many people are like, we know that was a major turnoff. We know that there's so many different communities, a lot of different Muslim communities, a lot of different young people, right? When they were looking at what was going on there and the inability to speak the truth about it, then you're like, if you can't speak the truth, how are you going to battle a political liar?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
right,
It's not just what Trump and his mega monsters are doing. It's what you gonna do.
right.
It ain't just enough to talk about what he's doing and to say that you're not doing that. But what you gonna do?
Especially when he has a base that is excited for what he's going to do. Like most people, we knew what Trump was going to do. The Heritage Foundation wrote a blueprint. We kind of knew what it was. And his people, the people who supported him, kind of knew what it was, right? Enough of them knew what it was. If you don't stand for certain things, if you can't say the truth, then even if they disagree, like, because it wasn't like they didn't know anything that would happen. They didn't know that certain policies on the Democrats would be better in terms of what they say. But the question is, what are you actually going to do? And do I believe you?
Right,
Like,
right.
do I believe the Democrats are going to go through with anything? Do I believe they believe in anything? Do I believe that? And if you can't stand up for something that seems easy, This seems easy, like, killing innocent women and children, bad. Blowing up buildings full of people, bad. Like, if you can't say that, if you can't say these things at least look like war crimes, right? If you can't even say that, then how can I trust you on anything else? And I think that becomes the problem of a lot of mainstream Democrats, a lot of established Democrats, because it's gotten to the point where the contradictions are glaring. Like and have been glaring for some time. But enough said on that for now. This is called The Disciples. We are part of the Disciples on Friday night, on the fourth Friday of the month. On the fourth Friday of the month, we have the Reverend Louise Scott-Rountree, Councilwoman at Large, newly elected Councilwoman at Large. Congratulations, Councilwoman.
Congratulations. How are you,
Congra-
sir? How are you?
uh,
How are you? How are you?
I am well. I am well, and so is I'm not going to speak for Zaid, but I am well. I was going to say so is Zaid, but like Zaid's going to be like, he's going to speak for me.
Absolutely. There's so much to be said. Um, Actually, I got my dates mixed up, and watch this. It's on my calendar. It's on my calendar for Councilwoman at Large. All politics are local. And then I was thinking, wait a minute, today is only the 22nd. It must be, this is in my own head, it has nothing to do with my calendar. Baba Zaid, I've been so busy putting out fires with residents. Sometimes the day just gets away,
Mm.
and away from you. But it is such an honor and a privilege to be back on my favorite. All politics are local. Number one hip hop. Come on through, brother Jonathan.
Hey.
Facebook, online, you name it, on time. We are on time, on the line. Well, I can't say on time because I'm a little late. I don't know what's going on. Listen, I don't know what's going on with my co-host, to Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad, and to our dear beloved sister, Balena Ali, um, Brian Ali's. Listen, I got my list for our guests coming up. As y'all can see, I'm traveling. Uh, that's nothing new for you guys, being on the road with Councilwoman Roundtree. I
And
just
that
had
that's
got to my
that's what the show sometimes is called, right? Like, because you're always on the
on
road, you're always talking to somebody, bringing somebody in,
That
right? So
bringing
it's a
guests,
fun for
that's a
us.
conversation we might need to have on the
you know,
road.
on the
Where,
on the road with the disciple Roundtree. So, Brother Jonathan, I have an awesome list of guests coming up for June, July, and August. Our summer series with the disciples.
Okay.
Some we'll be talking about. I really wanted it to be tonight, but in June, I'll probably come on before the end of June, before the program, and just talk about some of the summer events that are happening here in the city of Newark. It is important that our public knows what's going on in the city before they start saying there's nothing to do. There is so much to do. Not just mentioning the festivals, not just mentioning what's going on in our rec centers, not just mentioning the various programs. So, of course, we're getting ready to go into a new season. Of course, we're getting ready for a runoff, another election. There's a county runoff June 2nd. There's a South Ward runoff, which, of course, there is no one thing about me is like the Bible talks of being, you can't be lukewarm. It's either hot or you cold. Well, listen, I'm going to stay hot for wherever I am because I don't need nobody adding no timber to my fire. I got my own timber. I got my own oil. I slide in on my own stuff. So I say what I say, I mean what I say, and before I take it back, I'll add some more to it because people need to know that your integrity and your transparency mean a whole lot. There's got to be some value to people in their integrity. There's got to be value to loyalty. So as we are here once again on Friday night on the Disciples, with all this going on around the world, Newark is my focus because they say charity starts at home. That you can't start talking about how you're going to bless everybody outside in your home is not being taken care of. So before I can spread my wings and go all around the country, all around the state, all around this county, the truth is I have to make sure that people are aware of what's going on here in our beautiful, wonderful city of Newark. And guess what? If it wasn't so wonderful and so much wasn't going on, how come people trying to move in while the people that live here don't even know what they got?
That's fair. That is fair, right? Like there are a lot of people who are trying to move into Newark and are moving into Newark from different places. There are a lot of people coming in from New York, et cetera. There are a lot of different people, and that's people are talking about that in good and bad, right? People are talking about high prices going up, a lot of things that are going on. So you've heard it all, right? Because this is in the election process. I'm sure you've heard all of it. All right, you have gone out in terms of sound.
She muted herself.
No, she didn't mute herself, but your
No, I
sound.
didn't mean to. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I didn't put do not disturb, and I've got somebody calling me. Not real, and I can't answer. And so it must be an emergency, but they can't get me now. I'll have to wait and they'll text me if it's okay. I will call them back, but I can't talk to them right now. So I normally put do not disturb when I'm traveling, so calls don't interfere. What I'm really glad about is that it didn't disconnect me when I didn't answer the call, because in one phone I used to be on the air, and if I didn't answer the call, it would just disconnect my whole show. And I'm just so glad that didn't happen. They got the message and said call me back. But anyway, back to the day. I have the television program that I'm gonna have to bring you guys on probably June, because June is Father's Day, and I say Mother's Day is every day if you're a mother, but they set aside time for women to be honored for Mother's Day, and so they do the same thing in June, and then there's Children's Day, which is that Sunday, and okay, so with that being said, we are blessed. Oh God.
She muted herself.
So yeah, I think again, people are calling, and we can't hear you right now.
She famous.
Yes, the call's going, but we can't.
You guys
now
got
we can
me?
hear.
Okay.
We can hear you now. We can hear you again now.
It was an emergent matter, and folks called me to let me know that something I was dealing with has already been shut down. So I always want to help and help people. That helps spirit. This is why I don't go on vacation. That's not why. The mayor says I don't want to leave Newark because I think it's going to disappear if I go somewhere. But I know that's not the case.
Wait, you don't go
We've
on.
got a lot
Hold
going
on.
on.
Wait, stop. Hold on.
Mhm.
Did you just say you don't go on vacation?
I haven't been on a vacation, Jonathan. I'm not saying when, but I'm finally going on my first vacation in 30 years around my birthday, which is next week.
My daughter said
In
the same
30?
to me today.
Wait, hold on. In 30 years?
30. Yep. What you would
Okay.
call a vacation, to go away, go somewhere. Like even when I say I'm going down to visit my granddaughter, that's not really a vacation, because I don't see her often. So I spend all the time doing stuff with her. That's not like I go somewhere, get my nails done, relax, watch a television show, lay by the pool. Like, oh no, 30 years.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right.
So I'm getting
Now,
ready to do it, y'all. Y'all pray for me, because
absolutely.
my birthday's June 4th, and it wasn't like I sat down and planned to do this, Donna. What happened was, an opportunity came along, and I'm just going to take advantage of it and take a couple of days away from everything. And
Absolutely.
then one of my relatives says, "Oh, why didn't you tell me? Because I'll go with you." And so my other cousin said, when I was talking to her about what this cousin said, she was like, she needs to go away and get away from all of us. Church,
Yes.
the city.
She said she
She
needed
was
to
like,
go on vacation. That means not around you.
right. She was like, what does she mean she wants to go with you? That's the reason. She said she needs the church, city hall, all of that. She needs to just get away. That's the purpose. And I'm glad she's going. It took me like 7 days to decide I'm going to do it. I was like, yeah, nah, yeah, nah, yeah. You know, I haven't been on a plane because I really actually didn't. With what's going on up in the air these days, I was not interested in doing that. And so the same sister called me back and she was like, Rev, where's your faith? I said, it's in my feet on the ground. Where's my faith? You
Wait,
know,
wait. Okay. So we are learning a lot about you. So you don't fly? You don't like flying?
I haven't, but I will be. But I haven't. If I couldn't drive there, I wasn't going.
Okay, so you've never flown
Oh
anywhere.
yes, I have flown. Oh yes,
Okay.
I've been to San
Okay.
Diego. Listen,
Okay.
the last time I flew to one of the most beautiful. San Diego was the most beautiful visit to anywhere, to wake up to see the real orange, blue, and green, and the sunrise. And yes, I have flown, and I have, but I've never been out of the country. I've never, it's been a very long time since I've flown, and I've never been out of the country, and I've never, yeah,
Okay.
You got your
Look, you need
passport?
to.
I sure do.
Hmm. Well, you definitely,
You, I know how she
you
feels.
definitely should take more vacations.
I really know
Look,
how
But
she
once I
feels.
make up my mind, y'all got to know, Reverend Roundtree. Once I make up my mind to do something,
hmm,
I'm doing it. And
okay.
so my godmother called me this morning and says, Rev, you do so much and you're involved with
Yes.
so many things. But I think you better reconsider taking a flight. I said, it took me all this time to say, you know what, I'm doing this. Now you calling me talking about after telling me how I need to go away and how telling me I need to, and now you're telling the woman that has been running rampant throughout this city for the last 25 years, 30 years, that I need to reconsider going away next week. I was like, I really can't have this conversation with you now, Ma.
Right.
I was like, she says, yeah, well, it's so much in the air and this, that, and the other. She must have done some research, and she's 83.
Oh, that
And
means
so,
she just heard the news, the
yeah,
different news articles and the different
yes,
stuff that's coming
yeah, but
out
she just
about.
came back from a
Yeah.
cruise about 7 months ago. You know, now that's going to take a minute. You
Now
know,
cruises are dangerous, right?
listen, they all dangerous
The
because you
Huta
can't just
virus.
step. Wait a minute, hold on. Listen. You can't just step off the plane if there's a problem. You can step out your car. Okay. You can step out your
Oh,
car. You can't say, excuse me, let me out if something go wrong in the air. You just have to trust God that it's gonna land. But you can't. And if you want to, so there was a guy I used to work with. I used to be a manager at Credit Doctors on 16th Avenue when I was 19 years old. And a sales manager. So there was a guy named Big Al that used to work there, very tall man. They used to do a lot of things with the community. They used to sponsor baseball teams and games and concerts. So one day I asked Big Al, I said, you make all this money. Why are you driving to Georgia? Why don't you jump on the plane? He must have been like 6'5", right? I said, why don't you just jump on a plane and go see your mother? He said, first of all, if God wanted me to fly, he'd have gave me some wings. So I said, okay, all right, I'll take that. And then I said, well, have you ever been on a cruise? He said, no, because I can't drink that much water. So he had these. I started using his stuff when I decided I wasn't going to fly anymore. I was like, you know what? God wanted me to fly. He gave me some wings. And if you want me to go in the ocean, but that's a wrong concept of thinking when you've allowed yourself to become so bound with your surroundings. It's not that I don't travel other places, but it's always for work.
Yeah,
Always.
I know exactly
I
what you're talking.
mean, always. It's not like I'm going somewhere and say, well, at least while I'm there, I'm going to take a day or two for myself. I go, and from the time I arrive until the time I'm done, even when I go see my granddaughter. I drove to North Carolina one day, and the person who was driving me said, you've been on the phone since 7:30, and we in North Carolina. I mean, the whole day driving, I was talking, putting out fires, helping people with evictions, dealing with people who are food disparities, edge of school situations, death, The whole day I was off, and some phone calls don't take just 5 minutes, you know. So in doing so, when I arrived in North Carolina, both of them, it was two people that drove me, looked at me and says, "You're here with your granddaughter now. Please try not to take no calls." So
You need to have
I
you need to have your own. I'm thinking you need to have your own reality television show because the way you're describing it, you could be in that car and a whole show, whole dramas play out with you on your phone
so
and the
do you know
stops that you
I've been
make during
asked,
the day.
I was asked, there was about 4 years ago and about 7 years ago, twice. There's a gentleman used to work at shop downtown. He was a friend of Blackberry Molasses. Um, Bria.
Bria.
Yep,
Oh my
he was a friend
God.
of hers. He asked me, he and another gentleman asked, could they follow me? And this is when I was going to a lot of, tragic incidents. And I said, because he had called me a couple times. One time I was at the hospital with someone who had suffered a family who had someone who it was a homicide, went out on homicide. Then had another very serious situation. He called me. He was trying to call me about something else. And I said, I can't talk right now. I'm at the hospital. I said, I just want to make sure you are all right. And he then called me a third time and says, I would like to follow you with a camera. I said, I don't know if I want this on camera. I don't know whether,
Okay.
because I never ever, in all of the situations I went to represent the mayor, with tragedies before there was Office of Violence and Prevention, I never ever went on social media and said, just left the hospital from a shooting, just left a family's funeral. I have never,
Yeah.
ever posted on my social media page any of the work I've done. Why? Because the people that I did it with and for know I did it because I was with them. That's enough for me. Unless the mayor needed to know something because I was there or whatever, or the family needed me to call someone. But for me to advise the public of my daily activities when there are tragic incidents is that I'm putting negativity and sorrow into the atmosphere. So when I did form my social media page back in 2009, if you go back to 2009, you will never see a tragedy or a sad situation that I address posted. Not one. Since
As you
2009.
as you should, right? Like the
Yeah, but
way
some
what you're
people do that.
saying, yeah.
That's not my assignment, but some people do. Shooting on South 10th Street. Like I'm not the police. I'm not, or unless I am not the local news commentator, you know, um, that's just something that's not my assignment. You know, that's
Because
not my assignment.
Yeah, I
and I
know.
think that you wear a lot of hats, right? You wear the hat of a councilwoman, but before you were a councilwoman, you were also like doing a lot of community work for people because you are a pastor, and you are someone who is always dealing with hardships and with tough situations. And you're right. A lot of people want to put stuff like that online, and you're like, reasonably, that should never be online. That
No,
is
I'm not
the
doing it.
personal,
I,
right,
I don't
right,
think,
exactly.
yeah, I don't think that when now people do it. And at one time I was like, well, maybe if you're on social media and somebody says shooting on South 16th Street, if you're going that way, you might be a little bit more cautious because you're in that area, you know. And so you'll say, well, maybe I won't go down South 16th Street because they're shooting over there. But I just don't feel like that was ever something that if somebody called me and said, what's going on South 20th Street? I'm like, I don't know. I don't live on South 20th Street. I don't know. People just assume I would know some stuff sometimes just because I work for the mayor or I work for the city, And then sometimes I would have to, for my own self, find out just in case I was needed. But I wouldn't call back and tell nobody, oh, yeah, be careful. I was like, no, I mean, whatever it is, if it's important enough, you'll find out about it later. Yeah, I'm not the news carrier. So some people are nosy. Some people want to know because they see social media and because I don't want to give out misinformation. And it's very important being in a political environment. and a spiritual environment, that you're careful, that you're very, very careful about what you put out publicly. It's been an honor for me to work for mayors. It's been even a greater honor to work for one who is carrying on the legacy of his family, his father. It also is an honor to have the integrity that I have, not just as a council member, but a woman of God first, knowing where my upbringing came from, knowing the individuals that sold into my life to bring me to where I am, that I realized that we live in a city which is the largest municipality in the state of New Jersey, that the leadership in this area really, really, really has to be on their P's and Q's at all times, because people don't realize the circumstances in the situation that we are faced with on a daily basis, good, bad, or indifferent, you know? So I just am thankful to God for those things, that I have the, what's that word I'm looking for?
Judgment, right? The
Not just, no,
spiritual
judgment's not the word.
balance.
Spiritual balance.
Yeah.
Spiritual
You
balance.
you're mentioning something that we are starting to mention to all of the candidates who come on to our show, and that is the way in which you run, right? Like the way in which people run and the types of campaigns they run are actually even more important, right? Um, I think when you were talking about spiritual balance, there's some things you would say, some things you would do. Are we referring to the tone of this election? Many people talked about the tone being very different in many different ways. Is that what you're talking about in terms of spirituality? And would you want to elaborate more on that?
So now we're talking about two different things, because there's more. Okay, so my spiritual balance has helped me with balancing in government. Because there's so many things that take place. There's so many things that take place in government that if I'm not spiritually balanced, then I can be distracted and lose my focus and change the character of who I am. I cannot allow my character nor my spirituality to be compromised based on others' actions, nor can I allow my relationships with the community to be predicated on how others are balanced.
Say that again.
Oh yeah, that's huge to me, because even when I worked for the Booker administration, I had to explain to people, let me be real clear. Let me be real clear about what are they here. I just pulled
Principles
up to the
matter.
mansion. Hold on.
So anxiety?
I'm just pulling up. I'm pulling up to the
Principles
mansion. I just
matter.
wanted to pull over. Yeah. So again, I just had to pull up to the mansion and pull over. So a lot of times, elections have consequences. It creates enemies because we allow our relationships. How I feel about Baba Zaid, how I feel about Baba Zaid is not. Okay, somebody's trying to park. Hold on. How I feel about Baba Zaid and how you feel about Baba Zaid might two different things. But I'm not going to let how you feel about him determine what's going to happen with my relationship with him. He can't park here.
Oh, he can't?
No, it's a fire lane. I'm sorry.
Any park inside.
No, he should have stayed right where he was. I apologize. Here I am again.
Just handling stuff, just.
I'm
Yes.
driving. I'm gonna put you in the car and take you to the airport.
And so yeah. So
Is somebody opening the window on the other side getting ready to talk to you?
No,
there's a window behind you opening. Oh, okay.
No, that's honey, that window is. Oh, wait a minute. Who is that? Blowing up my phone. He couldn't have been blowing it up. I just pulled here. No, he can't. I just said him, but he can't be. Yeah, but not about me because I just got here and I'm not
Almost
staying.
in the
Jen,
life,
I'm on the radio show.
day,
Okay,
in the
thank you.
Reverend
Oh, I know.
Scott-Rountree. Live in living color, everybody.
Hold
It's
on, guys.
I guess you do have your
I'm
reality
talking to Jen,
television.
who's the business owner at TRX. She must be
Seems like
having
you
an
can't
event
be.
as well. Anyway, I'm back, guys. I'm back.
So it
So,
seems like you were out there blowing up the spot, huh?
no, like this is the mansion. I'm not. You can't come and tell me. I guess she's telling me that the gentleman that owns the space is saying he's blowing up her phone. I'm like, he couldn't have been blowing it up about me because I just pulled up here. But I guess because there's an event here, that the fire lane, they don't, and somebody was getting ready to park in the fire lane. So Mr. Scott got out to tell them, but I just wanted to reiterate. But anyway,
that's
back
that's
to
that's
back
funny.
to what we were talking
Right.
about with relationships. People have to understand
about
something,
principles.
that there's life after elections. There's life after. And this, out of all of my years of being around this environment, growing up around it but not being in it, I always say there's a perspective from outside and then there's a perspective from the inside. And you have to find balance on both, because what it looks like on the outside is not what it is when you get inside. It's a whole nother lesson, a whole nother outlook, a whole nother perspective. And you have to be able to say, oh, now I'm just talking about the politics of it now, the perspective of being inside and outside. The real crazy part is when people get inside, it's like a rude awakening. Like, oh, you know, we either gonna do this together or tear it down together, one or the other. And my outlook, my perspective, my well-being, this human being has to understand one thing, and one thing, that she cannot be a person that forgets that who she is, what
Right.
she represents,
Principles.
because after the election, during the election, and before the election, the woman of God has to always show up. She can't show up in sheep clothing and be a wolf. She can't do that. She cannot do that. She has got to be whoever she is, if she is true to form. I'm not saying that people haven't made mistakes. I'm not saying that people have always been this way. I am one to tell you for a fact. I'm a daughter of two preachers and wasn't living that life as a younger woman. But once God put me into ministry and then decided he wanted me to go into government, I was like, oh my God, there's got to be a difference. I've got to be the one that shows that no, I'm not just falling for anything. You can't just put me in any room. You just can't get me to, no, I'm not that person. Because at the end of the day, and there's been some tests. Oh, God sent me, listen, there's only a couple of tests. And I guess once they went back and said, oh no, she ain't that one, nobody else came back. Okay. But yeah, there was a couple of tests to see what I bite. And this was over the years. And I was like, and I had to say to the person, both people that came with the test, I appreciate what you're saying. Thank you for thinking that much of me. But you're really not thinking that much of me if you're testing my integrity to try to have me get myself involved with something that that if this goes left, I ain't going to be right. And so, me personally, I have to always think about what I'm representing and those, not who, those. Because the who is God. But those have a perspective as well. And you don't want to ever put yourself in a position as a spiritual leader. And they do. We can't lift up spiritual leaders. Some people put them so high that when they fall, then it's like, I knew. Well, you should have never done that in the first place. But I don't even want to be in that number. I
You
don't
know
want you to
what?
put me. Go ahead.
You know what, Reverend and Councilwoman, you were saying about how one person may feel about Baba Zaid and you may feel and what they
I
feel.
just used him
When you
as an
said,
example. I just
yeah,
used
I
him. I
said,
shouldn't. Yeah.
no, I'm just saying when you said that, it brought me to the mind of when Mandela was being interviewed by Ted Koppel, and they asked him about Fidel Castro, and he turned around and looked at them, and without hesitation, I pulled up what he said. He said, one of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that your enemies should be my enemies. And I remember watching that town hall in the room because they assumed that he was going to say what they wanted to hear. But he stood, as we say, 10 toes down, that listen, just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean I have to feel a certain way. And I often go back to that, listening to him and the full discussion. Go ahead, Zaid. I'm sorry.
He left Ted Koppel with his mouth hanging open because that white boy wasn't ready for that man to stand on his dignity and his principles like that.
That's right. But that's what it made me think of.
That's
Good
a
word,
whole
principle.
conversation. That's
Keyword, principle.
Go ahead.
Right.
Keyword, principle. And that's, I think that's, I got that from really my godmother and my mother. And I thank God for growing up around such powerful, phenomenal women because, you know, my mother, I say it all the time. Like I'm sitting outside of the Kruger Scott Mansion right now, and I never realized I grew up in a mansion. As a kid, as a child, it was home. It was like, oh my God, I live on. All the kids want to come, because the Scudder Homes is right behind us, you know. And while they were trying to run over here, I was trying to go where they were, okay, and be with them, not realizing. And I say that to say that no matter where God elevates you to, there's always a basement. And you have to be very careful of being on top of the steeple, because there's also the poem that talks about dwelling amongst the people by Langston Hughes. And so that was my mother. No matter how God elevated her, her soul assignment here on earth was to always make sure she was there for the least of these. And I think that God allowed me to see it all, have it all, and do it all at such a young age that by the time I got to a certain age, I also experienced, after having a gold spoon, platinum spoon, diamond spoon, I had all the spoons. And then at some point I ended up with a plastic spoon. And then the spoon broke. The plastic spoon broke. So God let me experience having it all, and he also let me experience not having, which brought me to not just the humility of what I experienced under my mom's watch and under my godmother Kitty Taylor's watch, but to also have my own experience to say, I don't care what you had, just as fast as you go up, coming down is even fast. No matter how you go up, coming down is a whole lot faster. That come down is like poof, you know, like being on a roller coaster. It takes slow climb up, and then you got to watch those you pass going up and how you treated them, because those same folk that you pass going up, how you treat them along the way, you better be careful, because how you come down can determine as you're passing them what's going to be around for you. And I just think that we in government, you know, I know it's a contact sport, and I know that we have to, we do what we can. To some do what they can or what they think they should do to win, but I will never, ever, ever sign on or agree with anyone who attacks people's families, because we all have families.
That's right.
We all have families. I will never be a part of, if you know scripture, and the Bible declares that all have fallen short, capital ALL. So we've all come through this life, or this journey called life, and made mistakes on our jobs, with our families, um, throughout life. And so to stand and look at other people's failures and think that it's okay to comfort them, or to find a way to think you can do something better, but you use other people to tear them down. There's also a quote that Cain and Abel, a brother murdered a brother, but that didn't find him favor with God. You know, to tear folks down for you to get up. And we are excellent at it, Baba.
I'm afraid you're
Donna.
right about that. I'm afraid you're
We
right.
are we got that mastered. We black on black
Yes,
power,
ma'am.
power
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
people. All of that. you know, all of that. And then we will take what little mouth we got and put it on people and act like it's a good thing, like we've done something. I would never want my granddaughter to see some of the stuff that was even on social media. 20 years ago, they weren't able to do that. 25 years ago, before texting and everything came about, at least it would take a week before the information got to California. Now to be there in 60 seconds, and nobody thinks about the future of what you're posting. Like the children, they have to watch us. We're talking about children. They want to attack the educational system, about the progress of our children in school, which is not just a local thing, it's a national situation. But the truth is, you do all of this. You do all of this. You do all of this and not worry about what your children are seeing about you diminishing your own people on social media, or you can't beat them, so you try to disgrace them. So yes, there's not much I can do about this, because we all know this isn't a perfect world. And if God wanted everybody to be the same, we'd all be black. It would have never been the diversity in the communities culturally throughout this country, But the truth of the matter is, we have to really start thinking. And I know I'm just one person. Each one can reach one. Each one can teach one. But what are we teaching? Like, what do we really want our children to see? And some of the stuff that I witnessed, even in this election, and like I said, I've seen some stuff, but even some of the stuff that I witnessed in this election, I thought was painful. I almost thought it was borderline mental, because I would think, like, what progressive mind would even, what productive mind would not think about doing some of the things that they said or did. Facts are facts. Government is government. Education, finance, housing, disability, all of these different things, cultural. We were talking about how people come into this city and the diversity of this city. Like, does anybody even do any research? People are taking 1% of the truth and 99% of a lie. And because they don't research, they'll believe everything the 99% was said, and it'd be just as big, just as big. I looked at some history of Newark, New Jersey, in the 30s, 40s. Do you know that, and I know you guys know this, we was the 500,000 people living back then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't have no 25-story high rises. We didn't have any of that. It wasn't nobody. I mean, African American population, the Portuguese, the Italians, they was all sectioned off in Newark. But the truth is, now we're talking about 300,000 plus and fighting over the development in the city. And the truth of the matter is, I guess because you wasn't born back then. And watch this, the cost of living during the Depression. I mean, nobody's talking about New Jersey being the last state to abolish slavery. Like, there's so many other things that we've gone past. And instead of us being constructive, progressive, thinking about how we can take the money we gambling in front of a property with and buy it if it's abandoned, because no one is really reaching us to that point. Even the mayor's men's meeting, it's open. It's open for people to come and talk to developers. It's open. But rather than go in and see how you can do it, because some people are benefiting from this. When you got 58 small Black businesses that have opened as a result of the opportunities in the city of Newark, I mean, who, and I don't, it's this, when people say, well, it's not just a Black thing, it's a Black thing. Because I don't hear these other folks talking because they're too busy trying to buy and build. So they're not complaining. We doing all the complaining, and while we complaining, they building and buying. While we're not taking advantage of the opportunities. And before you go forward, the house I'm sitting in front of right now, woman came here in 1940 and became the first Black millionaire. And she wasn't light skinned with long, pretty white hair. So I'm just like getting just a little. And I know I'm trying to fill in for my guys that are not here. But the truth of the matter is we have got to do better. And I told everybody, Donna, this is going to be a new season for Councilwoman Rountree. I'm going to be Reverend Rountree till I die, but it's going to be Louise who has to answer the call at the end of the day. So nobody on this earth at the end of the day, when I close my eyes for the last time, can say to me, I want to know what you did. What did you do to have an impact? What did you do to help somebody? What did you do to make a difference? Because nobody outside can give me that final call when I close my eyes for the last time. It's got to be when I do it, then I can rest surely in peace with my eyes closed, because I live for the expectations, not for somebody else, but to make sure that I helped other folks reach their potential. So this next 4 years, they're going to be different. I mean,
but what you said, you actually are doing. You're here every Friday, and talking about it. So most times on this part, you're talking about from a spiritual perspective and the intersection of civics. So you've had Chairman Ham on here reminding people that New Jersey was the last state to abolish slavery, and you've had Minister Haqq talk about development, and you guys, so you are doing it, and you've been consistently doing it. As you said, you've been through 4 different mayors. You've done it pre-councilwoman and consistently while councilwoman. I listened to you about not posting, but I can remember when we were still in the studio at the Robinson Center and flying by you because you were running, to a scene because you were needed in a spiritual capacity.
Yes, ma'am.
But that was back in before 2020, right? So
that was
so I can visually remember that, So you've been doing it, I can count back to then. You've been doing it consistently since then.
So I'm grateful, I'm thankful for the disciples. I told Brother Ed that, and I really do. So these shows, just like I got the news and views, I'm going back to the studio in June because I did February, March, April. And if I could get in May, I would, but I'm going to go ahead and address, I got to address mental health. That is another champion. I got to health and wellness. These are things that are so important. People don't realize, even with all the things I'm saying and all the things I'm talking about, a lot of stuff can't happen. It's kind of hard when you've been through a bunch of traumatic experiences to try to think about moving forward, because you can't get past the trauma and don't even know what's keeping you behind. So there's a lot of areas, like I'm got my hands in a lot of things, but the other Jonathan, it's going to be a season of growth, not just for me, but anybody around me. It's going to be a season of favor, not foolishness. It's going to be a season of preparation for the next generation. And it's got to be all of that. Happy birthday to Brother Malcolm, wherever he's resting, wherever his spirit lies. That was this month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month in May. It's also Lupus Awareness Month. Like, there are things that we need to be aware every day with individuals where we pick a month. Happy Black History Day every day. Okay, every single day I wake up, I'm Black. Happy Black History Day to me and all of you, you know, and to our clear partners too, because even though, and yeah, I say some things, I said it's gonna be a new season because we all came from Africa. Come on, somebody, y'all better say amen, Brother Jonathan.
Amen.
So,
So,
Jonathan, you didn't
so
say amen.
I did. I said amen. Just as I looked at my watch, it was like, oh, it's
I
giving me
bet you
about.
did. To brother Ed, to my co-disciples, to sister Kim, wherever you might be. We're getting ready for a lot of things. Like I said, June 2nd is our not primary. It's our election for our commissioner election. I think Reverend Lewis has been on. Oh, listen to this. Somebody said you need to have a citywide Bible study.
Bible
Yes,
study.
Che
Right,
Coulter.
right, right.
Hey, sweet Che, how you doing, darling? How you doing? I saw Miss Pinkney on. Saw a couple of folks on, but yes, good evening. My favorite, what I mean, I say it like that, but one of my most educated
Massachusetts.
advocates.
Yeah.
You're talking about the
Master
Edmund
teacher.
Pettus Bridge gave me my first lesson, Principal Kafele. How are you and your family? God bless you. But
And shout
yes,
out to
I want to thank,
Principal Caffelli. I was listening to
yes,
the radio and they were saying, my brother's keeper in New York and our keynote speaker is Marute Caffelli. And
Yeah.
one of the keynote
love
speakers,
him.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let me
Councilwoman,
ask you
isn't
this.
there,
Are you gonna ask another
isn't,
Hey,
question, Donna? 'Cause,
wait, no, Councilwoman, isn't there a stop, isn't there a house festival going on all weekend
it
in the
sure
city of
is.
Newark?
Sure is.
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna send all the flyers for you guys to post after I get off the air.
Ah,
For
where's
the
the
Okay.
House
for the
Music
house.
Festival?
It's the 24th and the 25th.
Okay.
I thought it
Okay.
was this
Where
weekend.
is it?
Oh,
Lincoln Park?
It
Is
is
it at
this
Lincoln Park?
weekend. That's this
yeah.
weekend. Today the
Oh,
22nd.
okay. It's 24 hours. Okay, go ahead.
24 hours. 24th to
Mhm.
25th.
Oh,
House
nice.
Music
Okay.
Fest. Yes, House Music Festival. On Wednesday, May 27th, I will be hosting a Utility Assistance Day with Assemblywoman Cleopatra Tucker. It's going on from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Greater Abyssinian Baptist Church, 88 Lyons Avenue. If you're having problems with your utility bills or you need some help, public service will be there. La Casa de Pedro will be there. Some agencies will be there. I'm going to send you the information for that so you can post that. Brother Jonathan, Sister Donna, Brother Baba. That's what this thing is about. Like helping people, services. You know what I'm saying? We can go and dance all day and go home and be without lights. So while you dancing, know that we got to wait for you to be able to pay them bills after you can, you can dance the night away. Listen, don't nobody love club music better than me. I used to close Zanzibar down before the Lord delivered me. Okay. Let's be very,
Well,
very clear. I met Miles Berger. I was 17 trying to sneak in Zanzibar. So anyway, it was,
all right. Well, no. We'll
what's up,
and
Baba?
thanks. And we will see you again. We might even have you on before the next 4 weeks, just to bring you
Okay.
back on to talk about some more of the stuff that you're doing. We
Thank
always
you.
appreciate and love having
I
you
want to
on.
thank Newark. I want to thank Newark, New Jersey, the faith-based community and the community at large for
Mm.
whatever vote, whatever prayer, whatever support you didn't just give to the mayor. That just spit a bar. Thank you for every prayer and what you did for the mayor, for what you did for Team Baraka. I want to thank each and every one of you for having enough confidence and whatever it is that moved on your heart for me to make it back in for another 4 years. I'll be praying for our city. I'll be praying for our county, our state, our country, and our world on this day and days going forward because I got another 4 years and I know that I'm not going to have no tears. Come on, somebody. That's another bar I just spit. And I'm going to
Well,
help some folks dry up their tears because in 2026, we're going to get some things fixed. I love each and every one of you. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Jonathan. And to God be the glory for our beloved, my beloved. Thank you, Cindy. We love you too. Don't forget June 9th, runoff, Pat Council. We love him. We love him. We love him. He's my pastor, friend, and colleague. You choose what you want. Don't get upset because I make my choice. I don't get upset if you make yours. Just pray for me and let me do me, because I'm not going to get upset about you doing you. I love you all.
Love you too. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Josie Gonsalves. Welcome uh, back to help host our show, and also welcome back, also Asia Norton. I always say welcome back because you are a part of our show. You've been a part of our show for many, many, many years. Welcome, coming back not as a co-host, but as someone running for council in the South Ward. You made it to the runoff in the South Ward. Congratulations
Thank you.
on
Thank
that.
you.
And, just jumping right in it, um, you were in the runoff for the South Ward. How does it feel? What has the experience been like? What have you learned from this process?
Yeah, so again, thank you all politics are local, for having me back on as a candidate running for South Ward. Again, the runoff is in the South Ward of Newark. It's held Tuesday, June 9th. Make sure you come out and vote for me, Asia Norton, 1A. And Jonathan, to answer your question, it's been an amazing experience. Whenever I have the opportunity, which is consistently to speak with residents, to talk with residents, to talk to neighbors, it's it's a beautiful thing because I get to learn the needs of the community. It's vast. The South Ward is very diverse. You have the Clinton Hill area, you have the Weekbay section, you have the the Dayton Street section, you have down by Freeland Heights, and everyone has different needs. And it's been a very enlightening experience to hear people's concerns. And whether it be similarities or differences, there is a need in the South Ward. And when I'm speaking with residents, when I'm speaking with voters, they're looking for someone whose point that is accessible, that is listening, and that has a proven track record to be able to help. Someone that actually that does the work. And I appreciate it. The weather is all over the place. There's some days where I'm sweating. There's other days where I need to zip up my coat. And so that part I could do without. But to and through, it's been an amazing experience to meet people where they are, hear their concerns, and figure out solutions, and making sure that people know that there's a runoff and that they need to come back out and vote on Tuesday, June 9th.
Okay. We always are going to ask about policy. This is an election. People are running, right? And their ideas. So, what are the ideas that you bring to the South Ward? And does your biography have anything to do with some of the ideas and your experience in the South Ward have anything to do with some of the ideas and policies that you're putting forth?
Yeah, so my platform has been 100% fueled by residents. And so what I already alluded to, people are explaining to me their issues, their needs, the lack of or just the neglect that they've been experiencing. And so everything that I have put forth as priorities that needs to be addressed is completely fueled by the residents themselves. So whether it be one issue that is just a constant, um, or that is similar across all the different sections in the South Ward, is trees. We have old trees here in the South Ward. The roots go into pipes, causing backups. We have trees that have not been pruned, and so you have squirrels jumping onto roofs, getting into the homes. And so that is a quality of life issue. Another issue that is constant that comes up is hanging wires. Oh, just I'm not sure the last time y'all drove through the South Ward, but there are hanging wires from utility poles that are just not even like wrapped around a pole, but literally just hanging. At some places, you got to play limbo just to get from the street to the sidewalk. Also, taxes. our property taxes in the South Ward, I'm sure it's similar across the city, but I'm running for South Ward, so I'm speaking specifically to the South Ward. People are being priced out of their homes, and not because they can't afford the mortgage, but because their property taxes are going so high that they're almost unable to stay within their homes. And these are things that need to be addressed. Also, the development. People are talking about, well, we see all these development going up in our city or in the South Ward, and we're hearing about how developers are getting tax abatements, but my property taxes are going up. I'm paying for the development. If I don't pay my taxes, it's an issue, but we're giving out tax abatements to developers, but I'm not seeing the reinvestment back into the community. These are real concerns that Southward residents have. And my background in I'm a commercial real estate attorney. I work with developers. I work throughout the state of New Jersey on these specific issues. Also, being the former school board president here in Newark.
Can you just slow down a little bit and break
Okay.
down what you said? Like you said, you're an attorney, and as an attorney, you deal with some of these issues. What are those issues that being an attorney helps you deal with?
Yes. So I do commercial real estate. And one thing that I am charged with doing is working with municipalities to build out community benefits agreements, and having an understanding between the municipality and the developer, and understanding that if a developer wants to come in and do business or get tax credits or tax abatements from the municipality, they need to reinvest back into the community. And the community is able to explain what they are looking for or what they would like to be reinvested back in the community. And so hearing community members talk about that, they don't feel as though they have a seat at that table when these negotiations are being put forth. And it's very disheartening because they're saying that I don't want to be priced out. I'm seeing buildings going up and I'm seeing businesses coming, but I'm not seeing an opportunity for me to come in and take advantage of what is being brought into the community. And so, my background as a commercial real estate attorney, I understand that the time to do these type of negotiations is not at the end of the project. It's not even when a shovel is being put in the ground. It's way before that. And I understand that it's very important, very critical that we are bringing residents to the table in the beginning of these types of negotiation and making sure that their voices are being heard and not being considered.
Okay, and you were going to move on to the next idea that you had after you talked about the biography of an attorney and what you could see. You were talking about something else as well.
Yeah, so one thing, right? Like when you are a council person, you need to have a legislative background. You need to know what are you able to do in these roles. Sometimes people think like I want to do this and I want to do that, but that's not the function of that role. Being on the school board, so I was elected to the school board. I was one of the first elected school board members after for during local control. I've never been a school board member during state control, so I've always been an official school board member and not advisory. And for 6 years, for 2 of those years, I was the chair of the Finance and Budget Committee, right? And that's a $1 billion budget. The school district operates a $1 billion budget. Also, I chaired the legal committee. And then I had the honor of being the vice president and president of the school board. And so in my capacity as a school board member and wearing the different hats, being the chairperson, being the board president, I've had to work with my colleagues that I didn't always agree with, but found commonalities or being able to find compromise where it's not just one-sided, but we're looking at the interests of all folks, of all of our students, of all of our families. And then even also, and more important, not importantly, but another importance is being able to actually do the legislative work, um, that is the role of a council person, is being able to help to put a budget together, being able to create legislation, right? We call them ordinances, creating laws, creating policies that are in the best interest of the community, being able to create things that are going to be proactive versus being retroactive, having foresight. Also holding the administration accountable. And so if snow removal isn't going well in our community, we need to have representation that's going to speak up and be the voice of the community. And it's not to be hostile, it should be a voice and to allow the residents to have a seat at the table and have them to be heard. That is what a council person is able to do. And having that experience as a school board member, I know what that means. I've done the work and I've had successes as a school board member because of it. And so I'll be able to take my experiences as a school board member, as a school board president, and bring it with me as a representative for the South Ward.
And Donna, Josie, Zaid, do you have any questions to ask her on policy in the South Ward or biography?
Josie, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can. Let's start with one question. So there was
I
a.
think Josie's supposed. Can you guys hear her? I can't hear her.
We can hear her.
We can hear it.
Can you
I
hear me?
can't.
Okay, so
She's having trouble
If-
hearing us.
well, you can hear.
I can hear you,
can
Zach. I can hear Jonathan. I can hear you, Zaid.
Can you hear me? You can't hear me either? Can you hear me?
Asia.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear Donna. Oh,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know what that means.
Okay, so
You can't hear the
Asia,
women. That's okay.
Okay, Zaid, why don't you answer the question and me and Josie will go out and come back in?
I didn't have a question.
All right. All right, Josie and I are gonna go.
Or maybe if you guys
well, actually, Josie, what is your question, and I'll relay it before you go out and come back in.
Oh yeah. So there was a gentleman who was also running in the South Ward that we interviewed some time ago, and he talked about the community benefits agreement with Lionsgate, and that the community had no input into that community benefits agreement. Do you plan to look at that if you win? Do you plan to revisit that as an example of way in which community can redesign what they want?
Oh, this was okay. So there was a candidate that we had on before the runoff election who was talking about the community benefits agreement for Lionsgate, and was saying that he was saying that the community was not involved in the benefits for Lionsgate. So that's the question that Josie just asked, based on what the person said who was running for council before. What would you be able to? Do you agree with what he said about the Lionsgate deal? And do you think that if you agree, would you be able to renegotiate?
So the thing about that contract is in place, and it's very hard to amend such things without both parties agreeing to it. So even if the municipality, even if the city of Newark, even if the city of Newark said, hey, we want to amend this agreement, the developer on that side, in this case Lionsgate, would also have to agree to it. And so if Lionsgate says yes, we are willing to amend this agreement, then both parties can reopen up the discussion for the contract. But if Lionsgate's like, wait, like, we like this deal, you probably want to ask us for more things, we don't want to give you more things, so no, we're not going to do it. And so once things have been signed, it's hard to reopen it without both parties agreeing to it. Where we can move.
And I think probably more to the point of Josie's question was, do you agree with that assessment? And if so, what are the things that you would add to it or push, or you think should have been pushed forward? I don't know whether you agree or disagree with it.
Yeah, so I do believe that there should be more explicit understanding of workforce.
Okay, no, you just came out. The word workforce, we can't hear you. Can you speak up so we can? No, we can't hear you again. Yeah, she's gonna jump out and just jump back in. But hopefully she can hear both of you now. Josie, did you jump out and jump back in?
Can you?
I can
Yes.
hear you.
And
When
can
she
you
goes
hear
back
me?
in, we could.
Can you hear
We
me,
could hear.
Josie?
Well, we could
Okay.
always hear you. Yeah, we could always
No,
hear
I
you.
wanted to know. Oh, Josie, yeah. Okay.
And Josie could hear you. It was that Asia wasn't able to hear you. Now
Yeah.
she's jumped out and she's jumping back in.
Okay.
Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear
We can
me,
hear you now.
Asia?
Well,
I can hear you, Donna. Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
and you
Okay.
can hear
All right,
me.
I apologize. I'm out and about, so my signal might not be as strong. So I apologize, but instead of delaying, I'll try to jump right back into the question. But I think it should be more explicit about workforce development. We need within that community benefits agreement. I think it needs to be more jobs that are skilled jobs. Um, and we need to be very explicit that even if our current population here in the South or in Newark is not skilled enough to hold these type of positions that they're looking for, it needs to be explicit about what workforce development is going to be provided to make us skilled enough, right? Because that's what sometimes developers say, like, oh, we have these jobs for you guys, but no one in the city is able to do it. All right, so train us. And so I feel as though that needs to be explicit. Explicitly say we're going to provide this workforce training for these type of jobs and lay out the type of jobs, right? Um, and then once we lay out and make sure that those jobs are quality jobs. What are quality jobs? Union jobs, right? Like we know historically that to build a the middle class is mostly built on laborers, union jobs. And so we need to make sure that whatever jobs that they're providing, that they or the one, there's workforce development training, that the jobs being provided are skilled jobs that our residents will be able to hold for years to come. And we need to explicitly say the type of jobs too. Um, all of that needs to be laid out. And so when you're talking about negotiations, nothing is by chance, right? Is there something that lawyers know is like if you want something, you have to explicitly say it. You can't allude to it. You can't make assumptions. You have to explicitly say it and you need to write it out. Write it out, write it out, write it out, write it out. And if you don't have that understanding, if you don't have that background, then you'll be sitting at the table and whatever they say, you're like, oh, that sounds good. No, that's not good. And we need to have people at the table that know that's not good enough, but this is good enough. And we don't have to enter these agreements if we're not getting what we need as a community. If we're not getting the benefit that is going to benefit our families, that's going to benefit people raising their children, people who are caretakers of their parents, then no, you cannot do business here. You cannot get a tax abatement if you're not going to pour back into this community.
Okay. Donna, do you have a question?
I do. Asia, you did a post today and you told a very story about yourself, a very personal story about yourself and your dad. We know recently persons, and you told about your dad being incarcerated, and I'm not, you posted this, so I'm just summing it up for
Yeah.
everybody who may not have read it. And as a result, that he was criminalized for his sickness, his addiction. And not so long ago, persons that are on parole and probation got the opportunity, their voting rights restored. Is there anything that you would say to this community that would encourage them to vote for you? Why you should be the candidate that they support?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. And so to add more context, thank you, Donna, for bringing that to light. To add more context to it. So my father, my father was addicted to drugs. And when I reached and he died from a drug overdose when I was 12 years old. And amongst other things that was just happening to me in my childhood into my adulthood, I was always trying to figure out, why are these things happening to me? Why are these things happening in my community? Because I'm not the only one. And unfortunately, I'm not the last either. And so I've dedicated my life to understanding systems, of how systems, how laws, how policies create these type of environments, that that fueled my story of losing my father at such a young age due to a drug addiction, and he was incarcerated for it versus getting treatment. And there's a slew of other things that just infiltrate our communities that people think is, oh, this is just by chance. Like, no, this is intentional. These systems, how our communities are, is very intentional of them being that way. And Donna, going to your question, when I door knock on some of these doors and people say, oh, I don't do politics, it's very disheartening, because politics does you. And what I mean by that is, if you think that not getting involved in the political process, by not voting, by not researching people, candidates, that you somehow stay away from it. Like, that's that over there. Politics, I don't do that. That's over there. And my life is something different. And that's not the case. Everything, how our lives operate, everything that happens in our lives has been dictated by some politician at some point. And it's been dictated by politicians that probably aren't even alive anymore, right? And so my father was incarcerated for his drug addiction, because there was a law at during that time that said, if you are in possession of a drug, then you are not going to be sent to the hospital. Instead, you're going to be sent to a jail. You're going to be sent to prison. That is a law. That is a law. That is not by chance. That is a law. And so it's important that we get out to vote, whether you're recovering, whether you are a daughter, a son of an addict, whether you are a mother or a father of someone who undergoes that has that experience. The reason why people don't get treated, and I'm just using this as an example, the reason why people don't get treated because there's a law out there that said, don't get treated, don't treat them, criminalize them, don't help them, penalize them. That is a law, right? And I can't cite the exact statute, but that is a law. That's why police officers are able to arrest you and take you to jail, and your freedom is just taken away from you. And so we have to do politics, because politics does us. And we have to come out, we have to vote, and not just vote just for the sake of voting, but make an educated vote. Research people. We have to research people. Don't just vote for someone because someone told them to vote. Like, oh, this person or this ticket or this machine told me to vote for this person, so that's who I'm voting for. Let's not do that. Let's make educated voting decisions. And there's enough information. We live in a day and age that, whether it's a www dot, or you go on Instagram or Facebook, you can go on LinkedIn, whatever your flavor is, you can search people. You can search people, and you don't need someone to tell you who to vote for. You don't need someone to put a picture in your face. We can do that work ourselves. And so not only do you need to come out and vote, we need to vote for the people that are doing the work, that have shown up, that are in our best interest. And that's going to do right by us. That's what we need.
Okay. The Zaid, you said you didn't have a question. Zaid? Oh, you are on mute. Now you are not on mute.
He said he didn't
Zaid?
have a question.
No,
Yeah.
let her roll. Let her roll.
Okay,
Josie,
so
do
we
you
have
have a?
we
Oh,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
wanted like two or three things, I think. And so thank you for your answers. I want to go back to the community benefits agreement piece, because I think it's important when Jonathan raises, what sort of policies do you want to pen, to lead? What new policies, particularly around, because we have tons of development going on in Newark. After all, Newark is arguably like the economic engine for the state, and we don't talk about that enough. How do you want to redesign community benefits agreements to address the needs and the issues and the challenges that the folks in the South Ward are talking to you about, right? So they're not accessing the new housing that's going up. They're being priced out. How would you construct a benefits agreement? And by the way, we know that one can break one. There are financial risks, there are legal risks to it. So we know that can happen. But how would you design new benefits agreements to be a set policy in Newark coming from you? That's one piece. I want to go back to that piece. The other piece that I want to get to is, how do you challenge the low voter turnout, right? So you want folks to come out because the idea that politics does us. What are you saying to folks who are disengaged, who don't want to vote because they do not see the possibility of real transformation happening at the local community neighborhood level? How do you address the low voter turnout? How do you address lack of information, the increase in misinformation and disinformation that's going on right on the local level? And so folks are staying out of the game, so to speak. So those two things I'd like you to sort of expand on.
Thank you for those easy, lightweight questions. I greatly appreciate them.
Oh, yeah, they are lightweight, by the way.
Your first question, community benefits agreements. I think we need to be putting stipulations within them that when we say these are the needs of the community, this is what we're expecting. Like, this is what, not even expecting, this is what we're demanding. We're demanding these things from the developer. If those demands are not given, there needs to be a stipulation within the CBAs, also known as community benefits agreements. There needs to be a stipulation within the CBAs that terminates the pilot. What is pilot? It's the tax abatements that I'm referring to. There is no way that a developer enters these CBAs, don't hold their end of the bargain, but still get tax abatements. That should not be allowed, and so stipulations need to be built within the CBAs to eliminate not eliminate, but to cancel out the agreement. Also, what we need to do is, if developers are not paying their portion of the pilot funding, I'll explain this a bit. So pilot means payment in lieu of taxes. And so developers still pay taxes on the property, but it's not subsidized. It is only a fraction of the actual value of the property tax that they're paying. So they still pay into the system, they're just not paying full price. And so if and when developers don't pay their pilot, that there also needs to be a stipulation that they lose their pilots. And all of this needs to be built within these agreements to and through. Your second question. So as a candidate.
Oh, before you move on, are you willing, that would be sort of a signature policy from you, like you would lock that down, that the community needs to know that not just in the South Ward, but I mean, this would benefit the entire city. So this is something that you would leave it and put in writing and push. Okay, good.
Yeah, so everything, how that works, so these type of development projects, it's not, the developer only talks to that ward's council person. No, everything that a council person puts forth as for legislation, it affects all the wards. Right? And so when one ward councilwoman is putting forth an ordinance, everyone in the city benefits from it, and that's why the entire council has to vote on it. And that is something that I will push, and absolutely something that I will push, and it's be something that everyone throughout the city of Newark will benefit from. Did I answer your question?
Yes, and I just want to add,
Yes.
just want to shout out a question.
Going to your second part of voter turnout, or getting out the vote. As a candidate, I can only do what I can do. What does that mean? I can do my best to fundraise, and I can do my best to get outside and knock on doors. There's limitations to that because resources are limited, right? I don't have developers funding my campaign. I don't have corporations funding my campaign. I get donations from everyday folk. The littlest amount I received was $1, and it's that's the name of the game. And so I'm just one person. I can only knock on one door at a time. If people want to I do have family and friends, sorors that come out with me and also do that work. I can only do what I can do to get out the vote. The question that I feel that was being asked, that is a city issue, that is a state issue, it's a country issue, and we need to be putting more resources and not relying on candidates. That's the thing. We should not be relying on candidates to get out the vote. The government needs to play a part in getting out the vote, because if we're only relying on candidates to inform people that there's an election happening, and shout out to organizations like the NAACP that do their best to also push out there's an election, but they too, along with other organizations, have their own limited resources. We should not be relying on candidates to inform voters that there is an election. The government, municipality, the state, um, there needs to be a true investment of government funds, letting folks know that there are elections happening, whether it's school board, whether it's municipal, whether it's county. We should not only be relying on candidates to get out the vote. And I think that is a huge issue in all of this.
I know we're ending for
Yes.
our time. I know we're getting short. So I'm going to give you the last word. We're going to combine two questions.
Jonathan, I can't
Yes?
hear you.
Ah!
So
But my time is up. It's 7:35. And so what I am listening to these days is
no, Asia, can you hear us? Can you hear me,
I
Asia?
can't hear you guys. I've
You
been
can't.
listening to residents
Okay,
that
so keep
need
going, keep
guidance.
going.
I'm listening to
Okay.
residents. Thank you
Okay.
all. Make sure you come out Tuesday, June 9th, Southward here in the city of Newark. There's a runoff election. There are two candidates because no one received 50+1 votes. No one received majority of the votes. Like no one did. So majority of voters is not satisfied with current leadership. And so on Tuesday, June 9th, Southward, we need to come back out and vote for me, Asia Norton, 1A. Thank you all. I appreciate all the politics are local. Until next time, I'll see y'all at the polls on June 9th.
Too funny. She said, I'm listening too. And you're on mute. You're on mute.
Right. So that's great.
Yeah.
That was a great ending, right? In terms of knowing, because she's been hosting our show for
Right.
so long, knowing what that last question would be. I know I can't hear you, but I know it's not, it looks like
It's 7:30. It's 7:35. And Donna can't answer any more questions.
Right. That's funny. All right, so that's going to be a good fun race to watch in the South Ward of Newark, and we were talking about.
And before Zaid, and we're going to say it intermittently so people know, and I don't want people to get voter fatigue. So voters, that means you have to come out on June 2nd, and then you got to come back on June 9th. Zaid?
What's June 2nd? What is June 2nd again? Tell us what
June 2nd is the primary.
The primary for what? Who's running in the primary? Primary for what?
So it's the commissioners. Our county commissioners are running. It's our what could be also in this June, different things in different areas. It could, I know in some people, it could be the primary for the congressional members, like Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman is not running again, and she has endorsed Mayor Matt Plainfield. So that's so it's it's different racing, but it's the primary for the general election.
Okay, that's great. So what Donna's telling you is to make sure you know who's running and what elections are there, because there are so many different, because these are local elections and local primaries or congressional primaries, and congressional districts vary, right? You can be in one one part of North,
Yeah.
and you have Congressman LaMonica MacGyver. You're in another
Mhm.
part of Newark, and you have a different
Yeah.
congressman
Yeah.
there,
Right.
like in the East Ward. You know his
Yeah.
name? I just jumped out of
Well,
my head.
And Aaliyah, and I think she's just finished the race, and she's got to start running all over again.
Right, and
So
that's a
because
different congresswoman. Like there are
yes,
three different congresswomen who
yeah.
represent
Making
either
noise.
Newark or Newark
Mhm.
areas, places that
Mhm.
would be tuning in to the show. So,
Okay.
Zaid,
Well, but, I mean, Josie came in and wasn't even really given wasn't really like pulled in like, welcome back, Josie. How are you?
Yeah, thank
well,
you.
because well,
Yes.
Josie
but
was
there's a
also
reason why we did
and
not say
side.
just welcome back, Josie. How
You
are
can
you?
pull it.
Because
You can
Josie is
Always
pull
not a
it.
happy to
guest.
be there.
Yeah.
Always happy
She's
to be
not
there.
just a guest. She's part of our family
Team,
who comes
yes.
in
Right.
and
Yeah.
throughout the various different segments.
So you do what you do, Zaid, and stop running. So you introduce your guest. Come on. The fabulous Patterson Healing Collective. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good start. You're on the right track, right? And there's a whole lot.
And Zaid, your volume seems to be down.
Really?
Oh,
Am I
yeah.
big mouth in my volume?
Okay,
Man,
maybe it's not you. Maybe it's
yeah. Mic
all
check.
right. Now it's better.
1, 2. All right. Well, yes, I'm pleased to have back with us someone whom I'm very especially proud of from the family that is the Patterson Healing Collective. A few weeks ago, they did an incredible one-day symposium summing up 5 years of work, and I have, I said, there's a lot of testosterone in this work. And when you think of community-based violence intervention, 9 out of 10 times you think of, the men doing the work in the field. But takes a whole lot more to a well-developed team, a well-developed ecosystem than just men going in the field. And we have back with us one of the mother forces of the Patterson Healing Collective, who runs a very important program for mother survivors or family survivors in the Patterson Healing Collective. It doesn't get the kind of spotlight that the other stuff on the ground in the streets does, but it's hugely important, hugely foundational, hugely essential to the work of the Patterson Healing Collective. I'm just glad to bring back our beloved Queen Delwana Miller, who is also a recent graduate of a master's program. I'm breaking my neck trying to get black men to come into the field as the sisters understand the assignment. They get it in, right? And this queen is just taking another step forward in her journey to being a carrier and a promoter and a bearer of what it means to be among the healing and among those who help people heal. So we're especially proud of her and that accomplishment of her own. I want to welcome back, my dear queen. How are you?
I'm doing well, Baba. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm not too
And
bad.
thank you for that. I appreciate that. Appreciate the support as well.
You know that. Now there's a lot going on. I want to do several things with you first. Now that we know we want to talk about the Wear Orange work next month and the other things that you particularly have your hands on. I want you to give your own impression, though, first, just to start, because those of us who were there and those of us who have watched and those of us who are researched and really looked at what the symposium did, we understand its value and we saw it. But I want to say to everybody that this one-day symposium that summed up 5 years of work, very critical work, very difficult work, was done within less than 2 months with the partnership of the William Patterson University's criminal
Montclair State.
Right. And
Montclair State University.
What did I say? I said William Patterson. But thank you. See, right. Montclair State University with Professor Jason Williams was an incredible task. It's just something that's hard to do in 2 months. People usually take a year or two to map out something like that. So why don't you just, in a summary way, first talk about the symposium and what the Patterson Healing Collective has done in those 5 years and how you were brought into the work, and then we'll jump in and take a deeper dive of what's going
on. The symposium was grand. I can definitely say that. Anybody that knows our lovely director, Dr. Lisa Chowdhury, knows when she has an idea, the team just gets together and works and get it done. Like, we get it done. We do it because we're not only just staff, we're survivors, we're members of the community, we're activists, we're moms, like myself. We're those who have been out there doing the work for a very long time. So, and she wanted us to make sure that was seen and that people saw, the heart of what PHC has done and show the data of how we've proven the work that we've been doing over the past 5 years. It was something that was heartfelt for myself. Never thought that I would be on the stage like that. Like I honestly didn't, even though I've been doing, boots on the ground, grassroots in the streets, but never thought that would be a panel that I will possibly sit on and share pieces of my story and share how I got into the work. So yeah, it was definitely a grand, and I'm forever proud. I still have people coming up to me talking about that symposium, and we're in May, and when are we doing it again? So just look out. When our director tells us, we'll know, and then everybody else will know too.
So just for folks who don't know, if you had to sum up some of the things that you want folks to know about the Patterson Healing Collective that you've done in the last 5 years, what are some of those things?
So I'm a part of the victim services team where after the hospital coordinator, our HVIP coordinator, goes to the hospital and meets some of these clients at the bedside, they're then offered case management, mental health services. They're then offered also, excuse me, they're then also, if they need to relocate, people who are not aware of the victim of crime compensation application, which is VCCO provided by the state. They don't know that they can possibly move. They can relocate to a different area, either in Patterson or outside of Patterson, whatever they choose, if they have a fear of safety. We've offered security when we had to go with families to homes when they have been victimized, putting them up in hotels because their fear is there. Funeral services, unfortunately, we have to assist with some of that with the VCCO, whether it's the VCCO or bereavement, whichever ones we're doing. So, and that one is really one that touches my spirit because as a mom who lost a child 12 years ago, I was not aware of any of these services. I wish there was a PHC 12 years ago. I didn't know anything about the VCCO application. I didn't know that I can relocate, for myself, because I didn't have a fear of safety, but it was just something different, something new. I didn't know any of those things were even offered. I was only told by the prosecutor's office that you could possibly get $5,000 to pay for funeral services, but you had to wait. And I mean, I'm one of few people, in our community, a lot of times don't have life insurance, but I had life insurance. And then I also had a savings where I was able to do those things for my son. But, when you're focusing on the fact that you now have to bury a child, that's the least on your mind. So we do those applications, try to assist with some of those things as well.
And that's a lot.
It's
And
very loud.
so you're there now. Now, what's getting ready to now? What's going to happen? Or what kind of shifts are you feeling? You know, you got you some new papers. You got you some new tools in the toolkit. How does
Still
that?
working.
Of course. How but do you feel? Are you feeling the emergence of something? What else is brimming within in the realm of this incredible queen and her domain that she's serving?
So for myself, after just graduating last week, actually, I graduated. Now, I'm working towards my licensing exam, and I'm taking a year and a half off, and then I'll be completing a doctoral program. So
Wow.
that's what Ms. Dell is working on currently. So
Wow.
yeah, so hopefully I'll take the licensing between June and July. So it would not just be Delwana Miller MSW, but LSW as well.
Let me say a couple things just to fill in some blanks for our audience that some maybe know the work in Newark but may not know the work in Patterson. Patterson has gone through a 59% homicide reduction rate. I would dare say because of community-based violence intervention with the Patterson Healing Collective on the front lines of that. 59%, and Patterson is a big city in a small space, and when those shots start popping, mass shootings are something that are painfully characteristic of that incredible old city, right? And which just bring. I want you to illustrate this point in terms of the intensity of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day, a day where should nobody be fussing. We had a beautiful weather, and what Mother's Day was looking pretty good till around 8-9 o'clock that night.
Very
We had
much.
some drama. We had some serious drama in Patterson, and
Yeah.
illustrate to everybody what happened and how y'all responded to that situation.
So yes, Mother's Day, there was a mass shooting in Patterson, in one of the known areas of the fourth ward of Patterson. 7 injured, 5 injured, 2 actually passed away. I know our director Lisa, our safety planner, Rashawn Dixon, and also Justin, who's our HVIP coordinator, were the ones that were boots on the ground right when it happened. They were right at the hospital. They sat there with those families. When Lisa literally just described to me the other day how she had to hold her mom after hearing that her son is no longer here, right? Calming down families that are trying to figure out what happened to their child during that time, and then there's some that were injured that had nobody. So Patterson Healing Collective being front for those people who had nobody, no family there to sit with them, nobody to advocate for them because they're going into surgery or they need something as simple as like ice. They're a pain med because they're now in bed and they don't have a family member there. So Patterson Healing Collective shows up, and right from the next day we were in the community. I was away
And
last week.
Delwana, that's so, I always say that anybody in the hospital always needs an advocate there. So like you said, something simple as getting ice or saying, hey, it's time for their medicine. That's seems small, but it's big. Yeah.
Is very much so big. Something is like, you're already injured, you got a whole lot of different thoughts going to your head as to why are you in this predicament that you're in now, and people are looking at you like you're the one that did something wrong and you're the victim. So now you literally have to, if you don't have a family member there, sometimes some of them may have like a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever, mom, a sibling, but there are quite a few that have nobody. Like I've had clients that, I've had to advocate for because they've called me sometimes and said, Ms. Dell, like I'm laying here and I asked the nurse for a pillow 3 hours ago. Like,
Mm.
and then I just get up the phone, and it's crazy how you say Patterson Healing Collective, and in 5 minutes they got that pillow. Like,
Right.
it shouldn't have to be that way, but that's part of what we do, you know, to
That's,
make
and
sure
that's
they
a
get.
hard-earned reputation. I want to, just add two dimensions that I think also should be mentioned too. Is that and I actually did a story. And I don't know if anybody picked it up. I hope somebody does. On the scene, unfortunately, and the relationship with the Patterson police needs a whole lot of work. Right. One of the brother of one of the victims was beaten to a pulp and arrested by the police. That didn't make the media. And the way the Patterson Healing Collective showed up with Tier One and Black Lives Matter Patterson and the National Action Network Patterson chapter and Pastor Weldon McWilliams and others. Right, the next day they actually genuinely offered real support on the spot where it all happened.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't make the media either. So I just wanted to put a pin in that because that's huge with the work. And the Patterson Healing Collective is best known for its hospital violence intervention program, because that is one of the critical points of contact in this work that we call community-based violence intervention. It helps stabilize the unstable. It also is the beginning of a place to stem the tide of retaliatory violence.
Exactly.
Right. So I just want to put a pin in that, so folks are clear on the full picture of all that entails. Now, what's happening on what's this now? Tell me about now. Orange. I just got finished eating an orange, right? But what's this Wear Orange thing y'all talking about coming up on June 6th? What's that all about? What y'all gonna be doing?
So our annual Wear Orange Day, Wear Orange is actually a national holiday. And I say holiday, but a national day that honors those who we've lost to gun violence and just puts it out there so that we're aware of what gun violence is and how it has affected the community. Myself, I've explained before, I'm a mom who lost a child. So I was actually introduced to Moms Demand Action back during the pandemic, and have been able to be a part of PHC's Wear Orange Day since its inception. Although, I always tell people, I may have only been working there almost 4 years, but I've been around since the start. Because I've worked with quite a few of our team prior to even working. So Wear Orange for PHC this year is going to look slightly different, but similar to what we did the very first year. So instead of us just meeting at our location by the office this year and just having a stagnant spot, we're doing 4 different locations throughout Patterson. So, and we're going into the neighborhoods where everybody's often like, why would you do anything there? But those are the people who want us, right? The community wants to do different things. They want us to have us around. So we're going to have bouncy houses. We're going to have a caricature drawer guy coming out to a couple of the locations. We have talent in Patterson. So we're going to have a stage. You want to get on and share some of your talent. You can get on stage, dance, sing, rap, whatever you want to do. And then just be out in the community. Our 4 locations are Belmont Ave in Patterson, which is in the 1st ward. We're doing Tyrone Collins Park, which is also in the 1st ward. We're doing Vera Ames Park in the 4th ward, and we're also doing Park Ave and East 18 in the 4th ward as well. And you're gonna see Patterson throughout. You're gonna see PHC throughout. All of us. Quite a few of the moms from the Sisterhood Squad are going to ride the bus, and we're just going to get off in each location. And some moms are just going to stay in the location if they choose to. I'm doing my best to try to get the moms to speak a little more. Everybody's heard Ms. Dell's story. They know Ms. Dell, but I want to put voices to the faces of other children, that other sons out there who've been lost, so even if mom just gets out and says her name and says her son's name and just ask people to stop violence. That's exactly what we're going to be doing, which they're looking forward to. And they're looking forward to. When I put the idea in their head, one of our lovely moms, she was just like, okay, where are we meeting? You know, and she has some health challenges, but you can't tell her she's not going to be a part of what's going on when it comes to like doing this work. You know, she's going to do the best that she can. And we're going to make sure she's good. We're going to make sure she's good. So that's June 6th from 4 to 7. Just be looking for our healing van and looking for a PHC in those 4 different locations.
There's so much I want to say. I want to lift up another voice in the mix, and she might blush if she hears it. But one of the things that is earnestly happening is the development of the community's role in the Patterson Healing Collective's contribution to what we call community-led crisis response team. Something that is coming from the Seabrooks Washington bill for our Najee, in the name of Najee Seabrooks. And I'm lifting up the name of Melissa Carter, Najee's mom, who too is a community mom, but has gotten to a place in her own journey with healing that she's willing to step into this role as a community lead voice for the advocacy that needs to happen for the development of that team, and that's very critical and important service. I just wanted to put a pin in that also.
Yeah, I'm so proud of her too. I'm so proud of her. She's going to be the ambassador and also a co-facilitator of the CCRT.
That's exactly.
So, yeah, very proud of her.
Now, is there anything else you want to share that you got coming up going on?
Well, Josie, did Josie you have a question, or you just listening and learning?
No. I am always in awe of the work that folks are doing in Patterson.
Thank you.
Just in awe of sort of women who are, mothers who've lost children, the way in which their leadership skills are being developed, and they're stepping into a space and transforming policy and the way in which public policy and the way in which we think about violence, the way we think about healing, the way we think about how we build community, how we think about social justice movement building at the community and individual level, that then impacts sort of a larger conversation on what do we need to work on, what sort of policies do we need to write, what sort of investments do we need to make. So I'm just always in awe of the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Josie.
No. I'm part of something called the Executive Undoing Racism team in New York City, led by social work professors and therapists.
That's good work. I wish I could work closer with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so we meet once a month, and we bring sort of ideas to the meeting. Folks present at the meeting. There are lots of discussions and ways in which we're addressing systemic racism, but also systemic racism in a way in which it impacts clinical practice. And I'd love to see the Patterson Healing Collective present at that particular meeting.
That's a great idea.
It's dominated
I'll let our director know.
Tell me.
I'll let Lisa know.
She's probably
right. So the people who lead it, I've worked with them. They're also friends. One is a professor of social work at NYU. The other is the former CEO of the Jewish Board in New York City, largest social service agency in New York City, with clinics throughout the city and upstate. And so there are about 150 clinicians who come together. I am the only, but there may be now more of us who are non-clinicians at the table. I'm not a clinician, but I participate in it because I've been part of, I was there at the inception, so been part of sort of grounding it in different ways outside of social work and psychotherapy. And Mimi Abramovitz, I'm sure you've studied her. Dr. Abramovitz has written extensively. She's a social work professor at Hunter College, and she's written extensively on ways in which working class communities are sort of taking power, and particularly women, and ways in which women have taken power. So I'd love to, and so we can talk more about that some other time. I'm just always in awe of the work you're doing, and would love to hear more. And I never thought about it before, but I think it would be a great sort of venue to share your work with folks that that need this kind of insight that you're providing.
Social work is going through a transformation that is community led and overwhelmingly led by Black and brown women.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of days ago was the anniversary of the birthday of my principal champion of all time, Imam Omar Wali, i.e. Malcolm X. And of course, everybody knows that the autobiography starts with a horror story of what happened to his parents, what happened to his family, and how social work as an arm of the state has always been an intrusive, oppressive agent of harm instead of being an agent of service and healing, right? What is happening in spaces like community-based violence intervention ecosystems is turning that table, right? And exhibit A of what that looks like in human and personal form is this Black woman right here named Delwana Miller, right?
Thank you, Papa. I appreciate that.
Thank you, babe. Now listen, any last thing you want to share with us?
You said something earlier regarding needing more of our brothers out there. I can't honestly say that we're working on it. I graduated with a very large social work class and we have quite a few Black and brown men, which we were definitely proud of. Like doing my undergrad at William Patterson, we were limited to men. But to see that from the school that I graduated from, so we're coming. They're coming.
Good,
So,
good.
and Delwana, maybe you have to come back and maybe you can bring one, because I'm interested in hearing, or even from their perspective, those class interactions, and when they, gave their perspective, how it could have, people had aha moments and hear them speaking up and things like that. So that had to be really interesting.
Yeah. I have developed quite a few relationships, so I'll keep you posted.
Okay, thank you. And breathe during your breath, because you're gonna jump. That's not gonna be a long period of hiatus for you. But congratulations in advance. Congratulations on what you just finished and what you're about to accomplish in the future.
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that so much.
You're
Thank you guys so
welcome.
much.
Donna, go ahead and answer the ritual question so we can let her get.
So this is a hip hop political show. So while you were preparing to cross that stage or take your hiatus, or as you prepare for these next steps, is there a hip hop individual or group that you listen to that keeps you inspired?
So right now I've been on this Jasmine Sullivan grind. Like really, I'm a big fan of her. So I R&B and hip hop, this generation goes hand in hand. That's about as close as I could get to this generation's hip hop. But
was that Jasmine breaking out the windows? Was that Jasmine?
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm only playing. I'm only playing.
Windows, but so she had her. I was going on a rabbit hole one day, just like listening to R&B and hip hop. And she has a song with the artist Her, and then Her has this song called As I Am. So like that's been my jam. Like, so on nights when I wanted to take this laptop and my books and throw them across the room, I've literally, like those two artists have really been like my go-to.
Yeah, those two together, that's serious. Jasmine and Her. Woo, that's serious.
That's serious female estrogen hip hop. For real.
Yeah, the ancestors have really poured into them two sisters, because them sisters, woo.
And then of course, the queen herself, Newark native. I always love her demeanor from beginning to end. We're the same age, so it's like I've been there, and I actually just watched she did an interview with Angie Martinez, so it's like.
Oh, you're talking about Queen? Lauren. Okay, yeah. I just posted that. I just posted that interview.
Those go-to are always,
And she spoke at the North Carolina A&T commencement as well. Yeah.
So yeah, those are my go-tos right now.
And then Queen too is doing a housing project here in the city as well. So she's doing some tremendous. She's doing a housing project, building some housing as well. So that's one thing about Queen. You always look at her body of work, you know, and I want to even say, you know, up to the Equalizer, she always put Jersey on Front Street. We are always in her body of work. It's really
Yeah,
good.
definitely. She gonna make sure we're known, right? Even she don't
That's
know you
right.
personally,
Yeah,
she know you. Yeah.
that's right. That's big.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, and we wish you continued success. And as always, don't wait for us to call you. If there's something that we need to know about, please reach out to us as well.
All right. I'll keep you guys posted. Thank you. Appreciate you. God bless.
Thank you.
Here we go. All right. Now let's do. That was a good segment. Good segment, y'all. This is one I've been looking forward to for a minute. This our next guest. This young man is put together quite a project that needs to be lifted up, and it's making its rounds, and it's making its rounds, and we're trying to figure out how to bring it closer to what we do in New York and in Newark. And I look forward to the moment when I can formally announce that we're actually going to be able to have our hands on a screening. But Alain Martin is it's got a film out called The Forgotten Occupation. Forgotten Occupation. And what is the forgotten occupation? You know, once upon a time, you know, the Haitian Revolution was one of the most important things that happened to the global Black experience, period. Yeah. And its former colonial masters still despise and can't even conceive of a world of a fully free and fully developing Haiti. We say the hell with that, right? But we need to remind them of how unscrupulous they have been. And there's this film called The Forgotten Occupation, on the forgotten 1915 invasion and occupation, and I will dare say robbing of the Haitian people by the U.S. government. And you cannot understand the turmoil that is often lifted up as the only thing that ever happens in Haiti without understanding who started the mess in the first place, right? So Alain Martin, son, welcome to All Politics Are Local.
Thank you.
I want you to tell everybody, first, your Haitian family story,
right?
And why and how you came across the idea of constructing this incredible film, right. and where the film is going.
Right. Well, Mr. Mohammed, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm really honored. Thank you for the powerful introduction. As mentioned,
and sac passe, and that's all I got for you, brother.
Thank you, my sister. You know. Yeah. So I'm the writer and director of The Forgotten Occupation. Jim Crow Goes to Haiti, which is a personal meditation on the U.S. occupation of Haiti from 1915 to 1934. To answer Mr. Mohammed's question, so my family's relationship with the U.S., to little nuance, my grandparents left Haiti in the 60s and migrated to the U.S. But that's at a time when you migrate to the U.S., kind of like make your money and then retire back home. That's no longer possible. So my father, who came here as a teenager, I believe he was 16 or 17, got a scholarship to go to Cornell. So I believe after he graduated Cornell, that's when maybe President Kennedy started the USAID. And they found out my father was Haitian. So they asked him if he wanted to go back to Haiti and work for the U.S. government, and USAID and get paid American dollars. So he said, yes, of course. So my grandparent, he ended up moving back. My grandparents moved back. So I ended up growing up in Haiti with my father and my grandparents. My mother stayed here because my folks got divorced. But I'll come to the U.S. every summer. So, I had two childhoods I like to tell people. The United States, and Haiti. In any case, to make a long story short, when I moved to the U.S., that's when I discovered my Black identity, because I accidentally read the first 50 pages of the autobiography of Malcolm X, and it kind of blew me away.
Ooh.
Because my image of the U.S. was the image that I had soaked up growing up in Haiti watching action films. Rambo, Commando, all those Van Damme movies and Superman, right? So to me, looking back, this colonialism has used movies to sort of exert its influence, right? Through movies, a lot of us in the Caribbean and also in the Black diaspora learned to love the U.S. because for us, the U.S. was Rambo, it was Commando, it was Superman. And, Malcolm X, his book sort of like, violated that idea. And I was in a state of shock after reading that book because like, wow, so this is the story of America that I didn't know about. Anyway, fast forward, I'm in college. I learned about this U.S. occupation of Haiti. And what struck me is that this occupation happens in 1915. Who's president in 1915? Woodrow Wilson. And we know that Woodrow Wilson was an avowed segregationist, right? And to me, Woodrow Wilson is more dangerous than
From
Donald
Jersey
Trump.
too, by the way. I want our New Jersey audience to appreciate who that joker was. He was from
Right.
New Jersey. Go ahead, son.
New Jersey, yeah, the president of Princeton University at some point. And I always think men like Woodrow Wilson are even more dangerous than, say, a Donald Trump because, Woodrow Wilson was an actual intellectual, well-read. So his ideas of blacks being subservient, were very sophisticated, shall I say, but also super dangerous because he had, the capacity to enforce those ideas, right? And we know with Woodrow Wilson, he set back black progress for generations when he got rid of all the federal employees who were black in the government. In any case, that same president who was in the
Oh, so what's going on, Alan, real quick? This is just a replay. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's been done before. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much, right? So that same racist president is going to order an invasion of the first black country to eradicate slavery, right? Don't forget 1915 is also the year The Birth of a Nation comes out, which sort of like...
Wilson had that in the White House.
Right. Woodrow Wilson played that movie in the White House, and we know that movie was so, influential and seminal at the time that it partly helped revive the KKK.
Exactly.
So you have a bunch of young white American Marines with no high school education, very impressionable, soaking up the ideas of the KKK and about Birth of a Nation, with a president who's sending a signal that black people are only, how do I say this, functional or useful, and only if they happen to be in subservient positions, right? And all those people are not going to Haiti. Right?
I was gonna before you move on further, you were talking about Birth of a Nation. Just one fact that I didn't realize until maybe a few years ago, that the Klan did not burn crosses until they saw it.
That's correct.
In Birth of a Nation.
That's
I
correct.
had no idea that the movie informed reality.
Yeah.
After that, so in terms of just the power of film, but go on.
Absolutely. And then if you think about it, so The Birth of a Nation, that style of film also inspired the U.S. Marines, because if you watch, so in the 1920s, recruitment in the U.S. Marines were lagging, right? So what they did is they spliced up images of the occupation of Haiti and put it in movie theaters, right? And the title cards that was basically the same title cards that you see in Birth of a Nation. In any case, they took over the Haitian bank, they took over the Haitian government, took over education, took over healthcare. Before the occupation, it was forbidden for foreigners to own land in Haiti. It was the way the Haitians had, protected themselves from foreign invasion and return of slavery. That was overturned, right? And one of the largest land grab, one of the most massive land grab took place in Haiti under the auspices of the occupation. About hundreds of thousands of Haitians lost their land, right? And all those things went back to American corporations. The Americans reinstituted a form of slavery in Haiti, right? So it left a social infrastructure that gave us the Haiti that we have today, because the occupation ended in 1934, but Haiti never really regained its freedom. In any case, when I've learned all of this, it shocked me so much. I felt like I needed to make a film on it. It took me 15 years to do. I thought it was going to take me a year and a half because I thought documentaries were easy. It took me 15 years, but we finally got it out. And as Mr. Mohammed said, we've been making the rounds on it, traveling the country. We're getting ready to go to Europe next month. Switzerland, Norway, Amsterdam, and Paris and London, a few other places. So yeah, people are slowly and surely discovering the film, because unfortunately I don't have $100,000 marketing budget, so everything is grassroots and word of mouth. So thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for having me on the show to be able to talk about the film.
Awesome. I know some of y'all got some questions. Josie, I know you want to buy it. This apple bad. I'm go jump on in.
Well, no. I'm trying to figure out, like, how do we bring it to
I can't hear you,
Zaid, right? Can you
hear? Wait, who said they can't hear?
I can hear, but I think there's someone asking me a question. I couldn't hear her.
So Alan, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So you can't hear Josie.
Can't hear me.
Okay. Oh, so Josie was just getting. We're going to repeat it as she says. She wants to figure out how she can bring your film to where, Josie?
To New York. First, I want to join Zaid and echo his statement earlier, trying to figure out how we bring this particular piece.
You should know, and I was going to try not to say this because it's not in stone yet, but there is a conversation that we're having with the development of the Malcolm X Human Rights Film Festival with Express Newark. And this is definitely one of the films I want us to consider, right? We're waiting on them to approve dates, and then we have to talk about what we can show and what the parameters are for how that's going to go. We are very close to trying to nail down a screening of this film, the same concept. This is my Malcolm X organization in New York City at the Mason Center in Harlem. That will likely take place on September 12th. We just got one technical question that we got to iron out to make that happen. And if for some reason we don't do it that day, we have the means to do it some other time. So
we would love to, to support in sponsoring.
So Alan, Zaid is going to connect you and Josie because he's already in conversations, but she's interested on how you can bring the film. She could bring the film as well. So he's going to make the connection since you can't hear her speak.
No problem.
So you're traveling around because I just watched a brief part of the trailer that you did. So it caught me as soon as you opened how you A Letter to Poppy.
Right.
I have done the tourist route to Haiti. I went on the cruise, but I know, my dad's from Jamaica. And when I immediately pulled into Labadee, I was overwhelmed about how beautiful Haiti, was from, just pulling in.
Right.
And
that is important to be heard.
Right. And of course, we want to bring in just to our next, well, not guest, but our next, our host, Hakim Green, who's also on. Just wanted to shout him out being here. I know we're getting ready to move into the next segment shortly, but continue.
And just, and Zaid opened up about how this unforgiving hate, or this payback has been against Haiti.
Right.
And I can't wait to look at the documentary to see what you're going to teach and everything. But I know the relationship between America and Haiti has been challenged for so many reasons. Can you tell what do you want people to take away, or what do you want people are going to see what they see when, from their own eyes when they see it, but what do you want us to take away when we watch the documentary?
thank you for saying this. I get that question a lot, but I'll just say this, and it's something that offends me dearly, right? The U.S. occupation of Haiti lasted 2 decades. For a very, very long time, it was the longest occupation of any country by the United States, up until Afghanistan. And Afghanistan beats it by 1 year.
Mhm.
What they did in Haiti, the indiscriminate killings, right? Haiti was the first country to be subjected to aerial bombardment. The selecting of a puppet government. What they did in Haiti was like this experiment for how they were gonna approach colonialism for the rest of the 20th century. So what happened in Haiti would happen on the bigger scale in Vietnam, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. And yet for some reason, American historians do not think this is a significant event to talk about, right?
That's right.
And even the so-called progressive historians, the liberal historians, right? No one talks about this occupation. And I just find that to be highly offensive.
Yes, sir.
So if anything, what I want people to walk away from is to remember this was a seminal event. This was the testing ground for American 20th and 21st century neo-colonialism.
Straight ahead. Straight ahead.
We're going to have to get you back on the program,
Yeah.
and definitely back on for a lot more than 15 minutes.
Because
I don't know, like Zai, you knew when you said 15 minutes, you didn't mean it. Like,
That's
come on, Zai,
right.
you knew that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Because,
I think I lost
Jonathan,
you guys.
There's
Alan, are you still there?
Alan?
He may have lost his connection.
Yeah, you definitely gonna have to bring him back, Zaid. This is a lot.
We're definitely gonna have to bring him back.
Yeah,
because,
say
like,
there's a connection between the occupation in Haiti and that extends into what's happening in Gaza and ways in which actually the Caribbean community, CARICOM nations, have.
Didn't I tell her to ask a question a little while ago?
She was trying to. She was trying. So, Alan,
Yes.
and I'll let Hakim ask the which one, since he's here, he can ask that question. But Josie, go ahead and ask your question real quick.
Oh, no, I mean, Alain, I think two things, right? I think, yes, we should have a deeper conversation. I'm sure you're having this conversation in your audiences. It is the connection with what happens in 1915 to what's been happening for the past 2 years in the occupied Palestinian territories, right? When we look at war, when we look at war and ways in which the empire engages in war to spread and consolidate its hegemony, we can sort of bookend these things, and they allow us to see. They allow us to see Gaza not with new eyes, but rather this in a historical legacy of colonial empire building. And then the other piece, of course, is this is a film
but
that
of course I was going to say, of course, we're trying to limit the time because Zaid is, Zaid knows what he did. But it's
30 seconds, Jonathan. This is a film for people in the Caribbean to see because we have a strained, I'm from St. Vincent, we have a strained relationship. CARICOM nations have a strained relationship through CARICOM with Haiti. And you can look at the policies in the past 5 to 10 years and the current policies actually around whether or not we're going to allow Haitians onto our island as refugees. So there are all of these things happening. And I think it's because we don't, not just in the US, but we don't teach this sort of deep imperial history in the Caribbean as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
And our last question, Hakim, can you take that last question, sir?
Hip hop is the people's music, Alan.
Yes.
What hip hop artist provides the theme music for your struggle?
Wow. Listen, I'm a big and unapologetic fan of the Wu-Tang Clan. Right? The RZA is it's the first role model I've had in life. Right? And I got into Eastern spiritualism stuff because of the RZA.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. And the RZA like 2 years ago released a classical album. all classical music, right? And to me, that's just deeply inspiring. And I do feel like part of Wu-Tang's music is it's counterculture, sorry, in the sense that in the 90s, you had the shiny suits, Puffy with the R&B hooks, and the Wu-Tang came through like, no, we need to keep this pure hip-hop and for the streets. So I'm forever inspired by Wu-Tang. I love those guys.
Absolutely a great choice, my man.
Wow.
I sign everything you said. I just want to suggest something for you.
Yes, sir.
Channel Live featuring Method Man. The song is called Ghetto Business.
Ah, of course, I know that song, man. Come on. Come on, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Though. But I'm gonna go listen to it again tonight because
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang for life. Absolutely.
Alan, I'm very proud of you, son. We're gonna make those things happen. All right.
And we're gonna make sure that you come back on for at least 45 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm down.
Absolutely.
I'm at your service whenever you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Guys. Okay, bye-bye.
And we're all sharing your documentary as we talk, okay?
Please do. I'm on Instagram at The Forgotten Occupation. Hit me up. Please do.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
you
you.
guys. I'll just talk to you soon.
Wu-Tang. I thought he was gonna say the Fugees with the Haitian connection, but he,
He said RZA was his first.
Salute.
Wyclef not listening. Wyclef not listening. Thanks, Alan. So, Hakim, are you here to are we gonna talk about Rob Bass?
It's been a minute. Just to say that, it's been a minute.
Hey, and welcome back, Hakim Green. If you don't know who he is, you should. He is Newark's ambassador to hip hop. He is the person who stands by KRS-One when KRS-One goes live. We appreciate him. He has been making hip hop since the 90s, producing his own stuff, and an independent entrepreneur as well. He is, and did I say he's Newark's ambassador to hip hop? He has 24 hours of peace in back of him that he helps produce every single year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Rest in peace, Rob Bass. Well, first of all, happy belated birthday to Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Baz.
101.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Still saving lives, lifting eyes, and twisting necks.
Yeah, but Rob Bass, one of our hip hop legends, lost his life, I guess, today. And I don't know what the circumstances were. I got to see him, actually met him for the first time at the Prudential Center last year for Rock the Bells, LL Cool J's concert. And he did his thing. He looked great, sound great. I didn't see
how many of us could sit here and be like, it takes two to, how far can we go?
Everybody. Like literally one of the greatest rap records of all time. You figure
I want to rap right now. I mean, it's just the
and it's hip hop and it's dance, right? Because everybody has danced to that song at some point.
Yeah. And it's so
but you get all into it, be like, it takes two, and you just get into the whole. Oh man, it's just one of those definite crowd motivators. You could probably remember a lot of things just listening to that song. I remember I had to take in college. I had to do a physical ed class, and I did an aerobic workout today. My teacher, she was like, "What is that song? That is just, it was just." She was so like, "I need that."
Yeah, it's one of those songs. My mom doesn't know many rap records, hip hop records. But when I told her, I said, that song, It Takes Two, she immediately knew what I was talking about and started singing it. And I was like, yeah.
Exactly.
Brother passed away, and she was sad about that. Also, rest in peace to Easy Rock, the DJ, who passed away some years ago. I'm not thinking exactly when. So Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, rest in heaven. Absolutely. It Takes Two was a big song, but their second single, Joy and Pain, is big. And Harlem legend, Apollo legend. You can't really say enough about Rob Bass, the way he represented the culture.
And Joy and Pain was Frankie, right? What was the original? And Pain.
Sunshine.
Frankie Beverly and Maze, yeah.
Yeah, Frankie Beverly and Maze. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow.
So it really was an intergenerational, like, which all our hip hop records are, but
Yeah. Well, have become, but that one, those two songs immediately became a favorite for all generations. Everybody could groove to it. Everybody could dance to it. It's clean. He wasn't disrespecting anybody in the records, but bars, just great songs. So it's definitely a huge loss for hip hop culture, rap music, business, Rob Ace. Yeah.
and I know sometimes you got there's always these things like name your top 10, and our radio, what we have gone probably from, if you look at the dial of radio, from one end of the radio to the other, we had several, like starting at 92 all the way to 107. We had many hip hop R&B stations.
Mm-hmm.
And in this time right now, BLS has just really focused in on Red Alert, who I think is probably one of the greatest DJs out there. And I know anytime, and I was every time I was just like, God, can you just please keep him with us forever? Red Alert is like, I don't know, a time capsule or something. He is just what he does to what, and the art of DJing and what he can do with music and just not hip hop, like R&B, reggae, bringing it all together. It's just amazing,
Well, to that point, Donna, they say Grandmaster Cass likes to say hip hop didn't invent anything, but it reinvented everything. Hip hop music was our generation, using our parents' music, older generational music, and then flipping it and bouncing it, as we would say. So DJs like Red Alert, Marley Marl, Pete Rock I actually talked to yesterday. He's the one who told me about Rob Ace. These guys, knew music, not just rap records. They knew, rhythm and blues, soul, calypso, jazz records, rock and roll records. Your catalog had to be filled with of different variety of sounds, and the culture was built off of that, and rap music was built off of that. So when you say Red Alert, knowing all these different sounds, it's no surprise, and he's definitely one of the best to ever do it. Yes.
And so what does you as an artist, you as somebody who can speak to different genres of music, what during this time, as we're looking back at, the Supreme Court, these voting acts, right, being rolled back, what do you think, what will music speak to? What will our hip hop speak to? Is there anybody speaking to what's going on, or we really won't see it for a while?
There are people speaking out, but it's not necessarily people in the mainstream. The industry has done a great job in buying people's voice. And in order to remain relevant, in order to remain popular, artists kind of hedge their bets, and just they're very careful about the stances that they take in terms of the mainstream. But there are tons of independent artists that have steadily been, speaking truth to power, myself included. And it's about us turning our sights and our attention to those artists, as opposed to expecting these mainstream artists to pick up a baton that they've never been, they've never picked up that baton. So why would we expect that from them now?
And it's interesting because when we talk about hip hop versus rap, it's always been about music that's from the streets, music that's from the people, music that is bottom up versus music that is top down, like rap top down, hip hop bottom up.
Absolutely.
And it seems like with streaming, with the ease of which you're able to put your music on major platforms, it seems like even the concept of hip hop, where it is, has changed. We had Kirky, we had
Unicorn.
Cobain 151 up, right? we had Unicorn 151 on, and he was talking about where the movement that he has. And I thought it was very interesting because it seems like music has to have location and places. It has to have people getting together. But at the same time, you have all these different voices that are online that come up. Where is bottom up music now?
I mean, bottom up music is on the internet. Unfortunately, our young people, the younger generation, haven't been deeply rooted in struggle music or revolution music, or it's about fun, it's about bling, it's about lit, it's about outside, it's about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And there's a place for that. It doesn't always have to be so serious. But in terms of that revolutionary voice, battle rap, it's not with over a bed of music, but battle rap has been a very powerful voice in the speaking to a lot of these themes and concepts and narratives. Everybody from the Loaded Luxes, the Daylights, the B Dots, there's like battle rap has been basically carrying real hip hop on its back. And it's battle rap, so it's a lot of times it's violent, it's aggressive, it's competitive. But what happened was really with the Loaded Lux versus Calico battle, his approach to that battle was so consciously elevating. Like he spoke to the brother's soul, and it was reminiscent of Malcolm X. It really was. And I'm gonna send you guys some links on the text chat. The Loaded Lux versus Calico battle, which happened, man, it's over 10 years now. And it's going to put chills on your arm to see Loaded Lux from Harlem speak to this young brother's soul about the need for stepping up as a man and away from the gangsterism and the drug dealing and the images that have been pushed on us. And then there's like a boatload of MCs that kind of follow suit with their context and their themes, looking to elevate and speak truth to power. So the battle rap genre, we get a lot of that bottom up art. But then there's a brother named
And question,
Yeah.
and I'm asking a question for some of our future broadcasts. Is that something that is checked by BMI, or if you played it, no one's hitting you with lawsuits?
What, the battle rap? Well, the battle rap
Yeah.
is a cappella, so you don't have to worry about clearing anything. But the premier battle rap league is called Smack. Big shout out to Smack and Beasley, some old friends of mine, black men, brothers who own their brand, own their company. They generate hundreds of thousands of dollars per battle between live performances and what they do at the gate, to restreaming and YouTube streams. They have their own website. Financially, they do extremely well. You have battles that have gone, winner take all, like $100,000. Rappers participating, putting 20 grand in their pocket, 30, 40, 50, 60 grand in their pocket per battle. Advertising, like it's a machine driven primarily by Black business owners and Black creatives. There's some spin-off leagues, white-owned leagues, international leagues. The battle rap scene, I'm serious, like in terms of hip-hop culture, has kept the culture alive in terms of lyrics. Now, it's a cappella, so they don't get into the music. They don't get to the, well, actually, there are some battles that take place over, instrumentals and beats. And that's, that's a whole nother lane. But just the pure form of lyricism and rap as an art form, battle rap has been holding it down. But, in terms of battles, Kendrick versus Drake, commercially, probably the biggest rap battle, not probably, the biggest rap battle we've ever witnessed. And you had Kendrick representing, conscious hip hop, speaking truth to power, calling out the powers that be and how it functions. So there's a lot out there. What's the young sister's name? Doechii. Who, she's part of the LGBT community, but a lot of her music is socially charged, speaking truth to power, speaking up for Black women, speaking up for Black people. very sexually seductive in her presentation, but I don't think she disrespects herself. I don't think she's out there, necessarily selling sex as just accentuating her sexuality. But her messaging is incredible. I applaud to her. You got a young sister by the name of Rhapsody, of course, Grammy Award winning. She's conscious hip hop. She's that pure essence of what we consider hip hop culture. You got what's this? Rock out of Georgia, who's definitely speaking truth to power. You got Nilam from the Nation of Islam, who's doing her numbers. So you got a bunch of folks out there that's representing our brand of hip hop. We just got to do a better job at shining lights on them, so we can compete in the commercial world, if that's the purpose.
If that's the goal,
really
right?
If that's the purpose. It's really about raising the vibration of our people. But the louder and bigger platform we have, the more effective we can in raising the vibration.
And go ahead. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
And I was going to say also, it's interesting because even if we look historically, the movements preceded the music, right? The music responds to the movements. And in terms of the commercial nature of like people in terms of revolutionary music, I think that it's inspired by people who came before and did things before. So I think that when you're talking about, and I think that when you're talking about this current situation with the rollback of civil rights, the Reconstruction 2.0, there hasn't been real pushback against Reconstruction 2.0. Like,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Mean, have you caught wind of the proposed boycott of SEC schools by athletes? The NAACP has picked up that call, and it seems to be gaining momentum where our community are encouraging high school athletes who are being sought after by these schools to not attend as pushback on the gutting of the Voting Rights Act. Like that's
and I say that the key is proposed, right? And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying it's great. But when I'm talking about like the action, given the reality and the scope of what's happened, the only thing that is going to recharge it will take probably a long time to happen.
Absolutely.
You're talking about a movement that is like extensive to push back on this.
But when you think of the civil rights, I mean, I know we're looking at it, but wasn't the music meeting the moment at the time? Wasn't like what you said?
Damn right.
But the people.
It took time, though. It took time. It wasn't like an immediate jump off. The civil rights movement started in where? 54?
It could, arguably with the boycotts in 54, right?
54, okay. The Voting Rights Act is 65. Civil Rights Act is 64.
64.
You got a whole decade.
Okay.
You got a whole decade, and because I covered these the Voting Rights Act, gutting of the Voting Rights Act, the sports response to it. And I'm getting some pushback from some of my hosts saying that we shouldn't put responsibility on these young people. They're getting an opportunity. It's just 16, 17, 18. I'm like, first of all, they're recruiting officers from the military in every high school across America, recruiting 16, 17-year-olds to take and give their life. Number one. Number two, please correct me if I'm wrong in terms of the civil rights movement. The two leading organizations was Southern Leadership Christian Organization, and SCLC and SNCC, Student National Coordinating Committee.
Right.
So,
and a lot of the kids that you saw on those,
every revolution is about young people, students picking up the
and they were at the colleges training them. They were at the college,
and they were at high schools. A lot of the pictures that a lot of the pictures that you saw of the kids being like dogs being sicked on people. Those were high school kids.
High school kids,
right? A lot of those were high school kids.
High school and middle school. That was all the children's marches, the children's crusades,
right?
In June 1963, which led to the bombing of the 16th Avenue Baptist Church on September 15, 1963.
There you go. There you go. Like so, you know, we as OGs, we're here for counsel. I'm calling myself an OG, but you know, we're here for counsel. The war's going to be fought by young people getting in the streets and demanding their rights. We got to support them in any way, shape, or form, and equip them with the knowledge and information that it takes to, you know, to go forward. So,
and we, you say don't put it on their backs, but then they're going to be sent into some of those schools right where all of this is happening. So
right. Yeah. So, you know, we get a 4-year degree from one of these schools and you can't get a job, and you can't turn to a councilman, a congressman, a senator to pick up your calls through the legal system and the justice system, the political system. Then what are we doing? Not to forget the Children's Crusade in summer before the march as well. Yeah. So, you know,
Birmingham.
it's unfortunate that we're here at this point in history, but we're here. And what are we going to do? The rights and benefits that we enjoy today were created for us by students, by young people.
And part of a big part of the problem is how we constantly are talking about we have to inform and teach civics and get it back into the school, and taking it out of the school has landed us in this very moment, because the disengagement of, I always say, a lot of students don't get involved until something hits them. So there's this gap of lack of not knowing, not being part of the voting process. And then we're here because of a lack of participation of what a lot of young people fought so that we can walk into these voting booths.
And then, you know, us forsaking the long-term goals for the short-term individual goals is a big problem that we have as a people. When I look at the SEC specifically, and these schools being in states that are looking to gut our voting rights or have gut our voting rights, and then we see that Nick Saban, who was the head coach at Alabama up until a couple of years ago, but he's still a prominent force within college sports, have petitioned Donald Trump to create an executive order banning NIL, name, image, and likeness, which enables students, high school students and college students, to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in some cases, millions of dollars in revenue for their name, image, and likeness. Now, you figure athletes across the country being able to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars, and being politically aware and conscious and having access to the levers of political engagement. These crackers don't want that at all. They do not want that. And you see,
and Hakim speak
simultaneously. Like, it's crazy. Sorry.
And you're also doing the sports show, but also having the NFL to review the Rooney Rule, which, you know, that's a conversation, you know, that never reached its full potential, you know.
Yeah. Trump is now also going after the Rooney Rule. So it's like we have to equip our young people with what's ahead of them. Like, you got to know the playing field that you're on, or the field of battle that you're on, because especially with football, the field and war are so closely aligned constantly, from the terminologies we use in football, the blitz, a sack, all of these are wartime terminologies. The strategy that goes into football is very applicable to wartime strategy, and not just going out shooting and killing people, but how to strategize your thinking for the struggle off the court, off the field. Like, I have a whole program called Basketball as Life, which uses basketball as a life skills tool, taking the skills and techniques that apply and work on the basketball court and then applying it in real life. Big shout out to Tamika Dixon, former LA champ with the LA Sparks, one of my co-creators.
I used to have
TJ Whitaker, my comrade, my brother, current coach of the year at Columbia High School. Dr. Eric Harriel, he's an assistant coach at King College. And of course, Amiri Baraka, Chief Amiri Baraka. We put this program together called Basketball as Life to equip these young people with skills on the court, but also in the game of life. When you look at Trump and the position he plays and these different politicians and the positions they play, okay, let's play a game of basketball.
And Hakim, this is a conversation I would love for you to take to your mom, because she and my brother grew up, and my brother always talks to me about Jesse Miles, who was a coach from that era. And that's what he actually did basketball, like in the back of the project, and taught life skills while they were shooting hoops. So that is a great conversation your mom have with your mom. But I also, you have the 24 hours of peace sign behind you. In light of everything that we're talking about, is that going to make it to, is any of your, what's going on, is that going to kind of shape what's going to happen this year at 24 Hours of Peace?
Well, we're in the midst of putting it together as we speak. The dates are August 21st and 22nd. I'm still waiting on a definitive location. We got to build on that piece right there.
Okay.
We're looking.
So it's not going to be Labor Day weekend?
Right now, it's not.
Okay.
You know, the 21st
I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to write checks can't cash.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to raise the vibration. Usually, we have these big artists, and it's more about having fun. I personally think we need to just kind of hone in on messaging and tap into artists that represent what we were talking about earlier, Ms. Donna, in terms of the messaging around I think that's a great idea, Jonathan. Like, we need to, considering what's going on in the world, platform artists that really carry the message we want to equip our community with. So yeah.
So we were talking about students and protesting and the college athletes and protesting. I think that we should all really remember what happened in Missouri in 2015. That was at the University of Missouri when the University of Missouri boycotted. The University of Missouri football team refused to play until the president stepped down. And there were a series of boycotts that went on before, but when the football team joined the boycott, president stepped down, right? Like when the football team went in solidarity, that was just too much money for them to lose. I remember the Missouri legislators were trying to literally change the laws, and they were trying to take away Scott. They were trying to punish they were like, all of them were stood in solidarity, and they were like, we're not moving, we're not playing, right? Do what you do. You want to get rid of all of us? Get rid of all of us. Lose all that money, all that time. I remember the coach jumped in on the player's side because the coach knew, right? You can't jump in against your players when your players take a principled stand. So it's one of those situations where.
And the same thing happened with the Confederate flag in South Carolina too.
No, Mississippi.
Okay.
Well, it was Ole Miss. I'm looking for the actual articles. I want to shout that young brother out. Ole Miss QB protest.
Okay. So there.
Flag.
So I think when you're talking about the amount of money that's invested, that a lot of the players now, they're like, well, you say I'm not playing for a scholarship. A lot of these players on the more popular teams aren't playing for scholarships. They already have endorsements. They are making money. They are able to monetize their play, and I think you're right. That is, I think in every generation there are the same fights, but the fights are a little different because the community is a little different and the resources that we have to push back, right? So I think that, yes, we're going through definitely a second period of reconstruction, but I think there are a lot of tools on the table that may not have been there before that are here. It looks different, and I think the response is going to be, could be the same but different as well, right? Like, because it is going to be a resistance, but it's going to contextually match the time.
Yeah.
Are you looking at for the name defensive end Ryder Anderson and linebacker Momo Sanago?
No, he was a quarterback at Ole Miss. And he in 2020, the 2019 or 2020, the protests were happening. The students were organizing around them getting rid of the flag, the Confederate image and the flag. And he said that if they didn't take the Confederate flag out of the school flag, he would be leaving. He wouldn't stay. And because of that, they changed the flag. One player, because one player, he was the top recruit in Mississippi. And he said he would refuse to play for Ole Miss if they didn't take the battle flag, the Confederate battle flag image out of the school flag. And they did it. One player.
Okay.
Now, can you imagine if 10, 15 standout athletes who were targeted by SEC schools came together and maybe did you remember that moment in history? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Right.
They stood up for Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown.
There's a bunch of them.
Bill Russell.
Right.
They came to try and turn him around. He turned them around.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I never forget there was a special on I think it was called Black Magic on ESPN, and it was about and here in Orange we have Cleo Hill Sr. who played during that time, and the story that was told that while they were out there playing, and Bill Russell and all of them, when they were playing basketball, what they had to do when they went on them courts and the fights that they had to fight, that they moved. And, the NBA has come a lot further than the NFL, but they definitely sacrificed a lot.
Colin Kaepernick took that knee on my birthday.
Yes.
Wow.
And I ain't watched a football game since because NFL Players Association, 300-pound, muscle-bound black millionaires left him hanging.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair enough.
And the work
I know that we have.
And before we leave, just since he said Colin Kaepernick, 859, the work that he has consistently been doing, he has been to, I know several schools, but I can say here in the city of Orange and Norton, but in Orange, he has showed up, and he just showed up doing work just because he was in the neighborhood. So.
Yep, absolutely. I know we reached that time right now. I just want to thank all of our guests. First, Louise Scott-Rountree, Councilwoman at Large. Congratulations on being reelected. And thank you for, again, coming on your show on All Politics Are Local once a month. Shout out to Minister Haqq Mohammed and First Lady Balena Ali. And another special shout out for South Ward Council candidate Asia Norton. Thank you for coming on. Good luck in the runoffs. Also, the Patterson Healing Collective, the June 6th Healing Fest. Yes, thank you for coming on. Alain Martin or Alain Martin.
Alan. That is correct.
Alan. All right, Alain Martin, we've got to get you back on. You were talking about the Forgotten Occupation, that documentary about the 1915 U.S. occupation of Haiti that no one talks about. And of course, Hakim Green, North's ambassador to hip hop. Welcome back on All Politics Are Local, man. We got to get you here more regularly to talk about what's going on and engage us in these conversations. Thank you, man.
And Jonathan, just go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Shameless plug. Please look out for the Hakim Green Show and Madism Sports.
Oh yeah, we need to do, man. We should have talked about that and plugged that before, because we need to get you back on just to talk about how those shows are going, and more about the Hakim Green Show and Madism in sports. And you got to get us on them shows, man. We got to get
we gotta have like a Chicago. We gotta have like a Dick Wolf crossover.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, but before Jonathan turns off the lights, I do want to take this time while we have our troops actively in several different locations in Iran and other places over this Memorial Day weekend. This is a time when we think about those who serve and some who don't come back. So we just want to take this time to say thank you for those who are actively serving, those who have served, and just wish to all the families who are missing those that we just take this time to say thank you for allowing them to continue to protect this democracy.
Let me say something else. Hip hop legend has in a medical crisis. And I don't know, y'all are younger, so you may not recognize the name Bob Sumner and what he did for hip hop musically, and what he did for hip hop in terms of the development of comedy. When
Bob Sumner, the radio legend.
the radio legend, the first person to play hip hop on FM radio in this area when he was at Seton Hall University, and who would then develop Def Jam comedy. Bob is very sick, and one of the brothers that we grew up with and went to school with in our hometown, now Bishop Ernest Vaughn, did a heavy prayer vigil for Bob, because we really pray. He had a major cardiac episode just as he's beginning to get his due, you know. And so we really just pulling for that brother. Me and him go back to the epic year that was 1966. You know, we go back a long way. Very special brother, somebody we're very proud of, and we're pulling for his survival and recovery.
All right, thank you. And that is all for this week on All Politics Are Local. Until next week, we will see you soon.
And you don't stop.